9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to the Pikom Digital Summit. This is the fourth series of the event that we have lined up since May, where we had a first session on digital leadership, followed by the future of cybersecurity. And in June, we were on to the Global Business Services session. Today is a special session with the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation that we are proud to bring to you a special collaboration between Pikom and Mdec. And we hope to be able to share with you how we can grow the local Malaysian ecosystem, bringing them to the global scene. So with that, thank you very much for joining us today, this morning. Do stay with us to the end, and I will have an announcement after the video that will play shortly. So sit back and enjoy. There will be a video that's going to play shortly, and enjoy.
In recognition of our partners for the Pikom Digital Summit 2021, presenting partner Huawei Technologies, Diamond partner FusionX, Platinum partners Cisco Systems and Fortinet Malaysia, strategic partner Mdec, gold partners Keysight Technologies and Powerware Systems, silver partners Blanco, Brand International, Day 3, FireEye, Freshworks, Hitachi Sunway Information Systems, Kaspersky, Logarithm, Microsoft, McAfee, Pure Software and Automation Anywhere, Ricoh, Telecontinent, Time.com, Veeam, vSite by Singers Technologies, and VMware. Thank you again to all the partners who have made this event possible.
Thank you very much. As you would have heard from the video, this event would not have been possible without the support of our partners and our sponsors. And we would like to again put our hands together to thank our sponsors for making this event possible. Without further ado, allow me then to move on to the next part of this program by inviting the Pikom Chairman, Mr. Danny Lee, to say a few words of welcome. So allow me to Danny Lee, the Pikom Chairman.
Thank you, Kenyu. Hello and a very good morning to everyone who have joined us this morning for the Pikom Digital Summit 2021 Series 4. Now, and this series is a special session with Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, or Mdec in short. This special session with Mdec this morning encompasses digitalization and technology adoption. Now, aside from Mdec, we also get to hear from companies such as Huawei, Orange Bean, Innovative, Epitome, Ascendo, and Secure Metric. There will also be a fireside chat at the end of today's session to address digital technologies such as cloud and mobile and enabling executives to reimagine business in the digital age. Now, building a 21st century business require executives to embrace digital technologies, to forge delightful customer experiences, create new or modify business processes, hand off new challenges, and also to adopt new digital technologies. Now, there will be 5 panelists in this session to share their thoughts and insights on utilizing digital technologies to build a future enterprise. Now, ladies and gentlemen, technology will be at the core of this transformation of businesses and society. Our interaction in social spaces, in business communications, and in dealings with government have all changed. This pandemic has given us numerous wake-up calls from the very first MCO, indicating that transformation through digital technologies is the way forward. What we hope to achieve today is this. No matter how challenging technology adoption and advancement seems to be, amidst this global pandemic, there is always space to focus on new solutions, business agility, and create new success stories. We certainly need to be cognizant of where we are, especially in current unprecedented times and faced with the unknown future. Therefore, we must find ways to pivot, adapt to new ways of doing things, and work around the challenges for us to move forward. Now, do be with us throughout this entire morning, engage with the speakers and panelists, and see how your product can be an essential tool to empower the future of work. In closing, I express my highest gratitude to all our partners, sponsors, presenters, and panelists of the Pikom Digital Summit. And thank you again to all participants who are with us this morning. And with that, I wish everyone a fruitful session. Please stay safe and take good care. Back to RMC, back to you, Ken Yu.
Thank you, Danny. I think certainly words of wisdom and in terms of how we can adapt and adopt changes during this pandemic. I think the speakers that we have lined up for you will certainly share with you some of the solutions that are available that you can tap on to in this marketplace. Before we go any further, before we move to the first keynote, just allow me to highlight some programming note. Do stay with us, as the chairman mentioned, and do interact as much as possible, participate in the Q&A as much as possible. I will then prompt the panelists as well as the speakers on some of the questions that you would like to ask the panelists and the speakers. Towards the end, we will have an exciting lucky draw. If you have been with us for series 1, 2, and 3, you would know we have lined up exciting prizes for you at the end of this session. So please stay with us and we'll unveil the lucky draw wheel towards the end. So with that, let me move on to the first part of this program, which is the special session with Mdec today. Sit back and enjoy a video that will play first before I introduce the first keynote speaker for this morning. So the video will play and enjoy the session. So thank you very much.
Looking for a place to start or grow your digital business? Find a central location where talents converge. Get easy access to regional markets. Operate in a conducive business environment. Supported by robust digital infrastructure and business-friendly government policies. Enjoy high quality of life at lower costs in one of Asia's friendliest cities. Follow your heart to Malaysia, the heart of digital ASEAN. Malaysia is committed to support digital investments as well as to develop, attract and retain world-class talent to power digital businesses in the country. We're among the first countries in Asia to deploy 5G network technology, the next-gen communications platform that offers increased bandwidth at much faster speeds. We also formulated the National Fiberization and Connectivity Plan to improve broadband quality and coverage, as well as reduce prices to ensure no community is left behind when it comes to high-speed broadband access. To support Malaysia's ambition in becoming a digital powerhouse, we have introduced new digital-first policies that drive investments into Malaysia's robust as well as versatile digital and tech ecosystems, while reinforcing the foundations that are already in place. Malaysia offers a fertile environment to accelerate and promote sustainable growth for the nation's digital economy. Businesses, big and small, are supported with a wide range of incentives and development programs to grow startups, digitalize SMEs, and globalize scale-ups. To nurture and build a digitally skilled workforce, Mdec also created a holistic talent development ecosystem with action plans such as nurturing digital skills at the school level through K-12 digital tech programs, partnering higher education institutions to develop a future-ready workforce, upskilling the existing workforce to equip them for the digital economy, easing the work visa process via a green lane facility for key digital talents in emerging technologies, designing the digital talent development strategy framework to address the growing demand for a digital-savvy workforce. All these efforts contribute to Malaysia ranking second in Southeast Asia in terms of future readiness for the IND World Digital Competitiveness Ranking 2019. With half of Malaysia's population below 30 years old, we are in a great position to support businesses with highly skilled and unique talents who are young, digitally savvy, and mobile. Growing up in multicultural and multilingual communities makes them highly adaptable to any business environment, be it in startups or established multinational corporations. These are the people who make up the heart of Digital ASEAN. Are you ready to follow your heart to Malaysia?
Welcome back, everybody. We are now at the first keynote, and we are proud to present Mdec as the first keynote speaker. The topic today is Globalizing Malaysian Digital Companies, an overview of Malaysia's digital economy and the potential for global expansion. With us today is Mr. Ryan Chan. He's the Global Business Development Lead and Head of Global Business Development for the tech ecosystem within Mdec. This is going to promise to be an exciting session. So without further delay, allow me to invite Mr. Ryan Chan for his first keynote presentation.
Thank you, Ken Yu. Hopefully do rise to the occasion based on your excellent introduction. Thank you as well to Danny for the wonderful opening remarks that really set the tone and set the stage for what we hope to achieve today. Once again, a very good morning and thank you to everyone that is participating in today's session. Certainly do hope that you would be able to take away some key learnings or some key insights from our panel of speakers that we've lined up today. If you will allow me to indulge myself for the next few minutes, just to share a little bit about our aspirations and what we do and how we hope to achieve this. Yeah. So as mentioned, today I'm from Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, or Mdec for short. One of the aspirations that we do hope to achieve is to make Malaysia the heart of Digital ASEAN or Digital Southeast Asia, and to position Malaysia as the favored hub to launch digital initiatives and startups in the region. And why we say this is because obviously, everyone is familiar with this. Southeast Asia is one of the fastest growing economic regions in the world. By population size, we are third, just behind China and India. One of the largest workforce and youngest workforce in the world as well, and a fast rising internet economy. So based on a study that was done by Google last year, we found that the internet economy in Southeast Asia continued to grow despite the pandemic. So obviously, growth has slowed down somewhat, only 5%. But what was key is that the number of new internet users that were added to the ecosystem was 40 million just last year alone, and that is more than the number of new internet users that was added in the 5 years prior to 2020. So that is a very strong signal that Southeast Asia is ready for digitalization, and this is projected to grow to well over $300 billion in 2025. So it's on track to be a very significant driver of growth for the economy in this region. Zooming into Malaysia, so obviously, we do have certain advantages compared to our peers. When it comes to ease of doing business, we are second in Southeast Asia. When it comes to global talent competitiveness, we are 26 overall worldwide and number one when it comes to upper middle income countries. Competitiveness ranking in 2020, again, we are second, just behind Singapore in the region, and well positioned to be able to take advantage of any foreign companies that want to come in to set up businesses here, and also to encourage and spur local innovation. Some of the insights that we've gained when we work with Startup Genome to profile the startup ecosystem of Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur is ranked 11 out of 100 emerging ecosystems worldwide. This is something that we want to raise further and to move into the mainstream ecosystem rankings. However, when we look at ranking by value, we do outperform our position at third, and encouraging performance when it comes to the performance of our startups in the ecosystem and also the talent in our ecosystem as well. Closer to home, obviously everyone knows this, that the government just recently launched the Digital Economy Blueprint a few months ago. And one of the key aspirations here is to grow the contribution of the digital economy to 22.6% of the GDP. As of 2019, the GDP stands at 19.1%. So we're well on track to achieve that. And we do hope that by continuing to work with local startups, scale-ups, and innovation companies to be able to grow this further, there is also continued focus to invest in digital infrastructure, and there's commitment as well to invest up to 70 billion ringgit into this digitalization effort. And something that's key to us and what we do in Mdec, of course, is in terms of building up or attracting unicorns into Malaysia. The target is to have 5 unicorns by 2030 and two unicorns by 2025 at the earliest. Obviously, I think many of us have in local and regional media, and I'm happy to say that very well, looking very good. That potentially there should be 2 or 3 local unicorns by this year or next year. And of course, this is because, as mentioned, we do realize and we do understand that digital and the internet economy is going to be in the future. And with this, to be able to attract and to be able to attract foreign companies to come in, foreign unicorns, and to be able to groom local startups and local scale-ups to be unicorns would then create a significant economic spillover effect by creating more high-value jobs. And this ties in very closely to the strategic trust that we have in Mdec, which is number 1, creating digitally skilled Malaysians, and that entails working with education institutions, both primary, secondary, and tertiary, to provide digital skill sets to existing working professionals or disrupted workers to reskill and upskill themselves for the digital economy. Secondly, looking at our businesses and how do we digitally power them. So that's identifying SMEs, local enterprises, working with them to adopt digital into the business, transforming business processes, and at the same time, looking at innovation companies that we have, innovative digital internet-ready companies that we have, creating solutions and technologies to be fed into our SMEs and local enterprises, and then at the same time to help these digital startups and digital scale-ups to expand and globalize their solutions and their technology into the world. And then last but not least, obviously, it's digital investments, foreign direct investments into the digital sector in Malaysia, particularly in sectors such as games, animation, data centers, and also making Malaysia a testbed for technologies and to serve the needs of the region. So how do we do this? One of the key programs that we have is what we call a GAIN program that's been running for the last 5 to 6 years. And it's all about identifying the high growth, high potential digital companies within the local ecosystem, and then working with them to, number 1, giving them a gateway to them the capabilities to access these foreign markets around the world and around the region, working with them to amplify their successes to the media and in turn elevate the brand position for these companies. At the same time as we work with them to amplify these successes, to also amplify the substance, and then to connect them to investors, VCs, PEs, ECF, to raise funding to drive more innovation and drive investment back into technology. And then last but not least, nurturing, which is essentially working with them and connecting them to coaches, mentors, trainers to develop these necessary business technology skill sets that they need to have to grow and scale the business. At the end of the day, what we hope to achieve would be able to be to drive exports, increase coverage of these companies, geo perspective, raise more capital for them, and to raise the skill sets and capabilities. Some success stories. Of course, today, we've got also 5 other companies with us today that will be sharing with you for the next hour and a half or so on what they've done and how they can work with you to enable success in your company. Some other companies that we have within the portfolio of what we're tracking, and some of these would be very familiar names to you. Companies such as Aerodyne, which is a fairly young company, but from within 7 years has actually managed to scale and expand their operations to 35 countries all around the world. And today it's the #2 drone service company in the world today. Carsome, which is now probably one of the largest online car trading platforms in Southeast Asia, and transacting about $300 million on the platform annually. We've got e-commerce companies like Droppy, who is one of the few Malaysian companies that managed to get into Y Combinator and managed to raise $1.3 million through the accelerator. Fintech companies such as CapBay and SourceBase, which are innovating new technologies and new solutions within the fintech lending and payment space for local Malaysian companies and also in the region. And of course, last but not least, companies such as Forest Interactive, which has been innovating in terms of the mobile platforms that they're offering to the customers worldwide, and also working with publishers to bring content to consumers in close to 40 countries around the world. So that says a little bit about what we've done and the local portfolio that we have. Looking at some of the changes that's been brought forth by the pandemic, right? And I believe many of you would already be on this path. What we do see, of course, is that with the pandemic, that has actually accelerated a lot of the digital transformation efforts and projects that has been executed by enterprises. One of the key things that we see, of course, is adoption of cloud is accelerating, and in fact, cloud is driving a lot of the changes, and so much so that companies are looking at not just public cloud but also private cloud and also hybrid cloud deployments, and at the same time also looking at edge-based technologies to bring such cloud technologies closer to where it's being processed and being computed to reduce latency and so on. So that's something that we do see as a trend moving forward. Of course, when it comes to enterprises, one of the key differentiators that you want to do is to be able to differentiate your offering to the customer. And we see this strategy coming in the form of what we call total experience. And this is a combination of multiple disciplines, which is encompassing customer experience, user experience, and also employee experience at the same time as well. And bringing all these together to deliver seamless service and experience to your customers, and placing them at the center engagement with your company. Some of these would be under the massive automation that we see. So in the case of process automation, intelligent process automation, BPA, and so on and so forth, and that's being driven to reduce a lot of the manual processes that's in place, and to automate and to run all these robotically by software as much as possible. Underpinning this is the adoption of AI and machine learning into enterprises. I've seen a report from IDC saying that they foresee many Fortune 2000 companies investing or acquiring AI companies into their portfolios, so that to be able to in-source some of these capabilities to these companies. We do see also AI capabilities filtering down to many software and many solutions that we interact with on a daily basis. And of course, in the last 12 to 18 months, what we've also seen and what we've also experienced is working from home, or in a sense, hybrid work arrangements. And moving into the future, that's what we also foresee, that hybrid work arrangements will be here to stay. As we see, that's something that's already being put in place in many other countries around the world moving forward. So with that, that requires enterprises to be able to relook at the work environment, to enable them to operate anywhere from around the world, whether it's offsite or hybrid. And with this, that also requires companies to be able to give the digital workers what we call digital parity with what's available with workers back in the office. So that's involving around things such as remote collaboration tools, remote working tools, to ensure productivity is consistent across the board, both for your hybrid workers and both for your on-site workers, off-site workers as well. And we do see a whole lot of new innovation, new solutions, and new technologies in this area when it comes to a digital workforce. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what's important as well is the people that we have within our organization. That's talent that you have in your organization. Again, complexity that's brought on with the hybrid work environment. So how do you manage talent? How do you look at talent coming through the channel? And so talent analytics, talent management solutions, talent management technologies would be key in the future, especially where now with this kind of paradigm, you are now able to hire workers from anywhere, practically anywhere in the world, and to be able to plug them into your company organization. How do you track these kind of productivity, and to ensure that you're able to continue to develop and upskill these talents, regardless of where they sit geographically? So these are some of the things that we do foresee happening. Happy to say that some of the companies that we have today presenting and sharing with you would be able to deliver additional insights and additional inputs on where they think this would lead, and how they can actually partner together with you to bring these technologies and solutions into your workplace and into your company. So that brings an end to my presentation today. Thank you once again to the organizers, Pikom, and to everyone for logging in. For more information, please do log into your website or follow us on Twitter for more information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have a panel discussion towards the later part of this event. So maybe what I'll suggest, if there are questions that you would like to pose to Ryan, please do so. If not, what we will do is I would suggest we move to the second keynote presentation for now. Later on, we'll bring both Huawei as well as Mdec back in for a Q&A session. So with that, thank you very much, Ryan, for your very interesting, informative presentation. Certainly, we see there are a lot of benefits when it comes to digitalization and the various examples that you have cited. We are going to get into a Q&A session after this, and that's where we're going to probe you more on what it means. So thank you very much, Ryan Chan of Mdec. And now on to the next session. The next session is the second keynote that we have lined up today, and it's none other than from our presenting partner, Huawei Malaysia. So certainly Huawei Malaysia is an important partner of ours. The second keynote from Huawei will talk about how Huawei, the local ecosystem here in Malaysia, and help Malaysian companies, ISPs, to grow. So with us today is Mr. Tan Kuan Tai, or KT as we know him. He's the head of Huawei Cloud Malaysia. Before he presents the second keynote, we'll play a short video to give you an introduction about Huawei, just in case you do not know the so many things that Huawei does here in Malaysia. So over to the video first, and later I will bring KT on.
Efficiency, cost, productivity. Business as usual has always been about turning a profit. If you stop to think about it, what more is there? The universe, nature, life, civilization as we know it is about the search for something greater than ourselves. Huawei Cloud is innovating technologies to make the world more inclusive. The cloud, AI, 5G are building a fully connected, intelligent world. They do more than drive digital transformation. It's a new paradigm for innovation. Imagine, if you can, what amazing secrets await when we unlock the secrets of the universe. What cosmic answers will we learn? AI can help preserve in the rainforest by identifying the sounds of gunshots or the sounds of illegal logging, protecting the most precious sounds, birds and trees, for generations to come. In cities around the world, we can collect traffic data and analyze it to improve transportation and bring order to a chaotic world. Even reporting the weather can be improved with AI. With more accurate forecasts and timely alerts, we'll travel safer and get home to our loved ones. Also, so many delicious flavors, chili, herbs, and spices automatically selected to improve flavor, quality, and nutrition. Delightful flavor explosions to dazzle our taste buds. A cloud for everyone, unleashing the power of innovation, making every day better. A cloud for pervasive intelligence and a better future. Huawei Cloud. Grow with intelligence.
Okay, thank you. For the second keynote, we have Huawei Malaysia with us today, embarking SMEs on digital journey, bridging business to global digitally. So with us today is Mr. KT Tan of Huawei Malaysia. He heads up the cloud practice within Huawei. So allow me to invite Mr. KT Tan again.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. I was supposed there's a wow say from this Ryan, right, about the digital transitions for the Malaysia industry, right? So at the same time, also thank you to Kenyu, right, on the introductions about us, about Huawei and about myself, right? So basically, without further ado, I just would like to share with you on Huawei perspective on how we able to contribute back to the societies looking to this digital SME digitizations, and also the how we can help to bridge everyone beyond Malaysia alone, right? So just before that, I maybe just an introduction to anyone that not really familiar with Huawei, because in the mind, a lot of people's thoughts Huawei is a phone provider, right? But today we are this 49 in the global 500s with present in the 170 plus country, right, and 197 employees. So with this, especially I would truly say that Huawei is a R&D company. right? R&D in digitals, right? So our innovations, our creativities is to bridging the digital to everyone, every person, home, organization for the fully connected and intelligent world, right? So with this, then definitely the words of the inclusivities is always in our mind, beside of fostering the digital technology in the industry, right? So with that, Huawei Malaysia itself, right? Today, Huawei Malaysia is actually the regional headquarters, right? That consists of this our own solution innovation center to showcase the innovations from not only Huawei but our partner ecosystem, right? At the same time, we also placing our global training center here in Malaysia, right? Our objective is to help to enable Malaysia as a digital Asian hub, right? From three different perspectives, right? ICT infrastructures, right? Where being the key technology providers supporting the local operators, right? We continue to pioneering in the technology innovation for the area of smart cities, 5G, and cloud AI, right? So on the other side is we feel there's a very key and importance, right, on the digital development, which is this I would say is a drivers for the future digital economy, right? That's why we're also working with a lot of different initiatives together with Mdec and others these agencies, including the Pikom as well, right? For these Malaysia talents global, right? Especially, right? Then nevertheless, the inclusivities of in terms of the ecosystem build to enable the local partners is very important. So later I will share with you how the local partner ecosystem will able to foster this SME SME concept within Malaysia itself, right? Yeah. So as what we mentioned on the three perspective, right? One the first perspective where it's very pivotal to the this digital economy building, right? We have partners with the TM to build only Malaysia own end-to-end cloud and AI infrastructures, right? That serving as a Malaysia sovereignty cloud and also the Asian digital. So what it means basically on here then this will be the infrastructures which is a hyperscaler. It's not only working on the cloud alpha edge in Malaysia, but also you were able to expand to the global, right? At the same time, the local cloud infrastructure is very important to this garners the digital privacy and also the residency of information, right? So and to ensure that our the user experience is always tip top on our key focus priorities, right? The infrastructure is built with the full reliabilities and also this trustworthy in terms of infrastructure building, focus in the cybersecurity as well, right? And then and definitely it's a digital industry platform, right? We continue to foster the digitals to the industry in the others details, right? So in here, if you can see, right, the cloud is built with this infra platform and also software services. Where if you can see, especially we have built the SME marketplace in Malaysia. We have built this right, come together with the local AI innovation. We strongly believe with our success on the AI use cases in China, right? We can do a lot more better and a lot more opens, right? With the enablement of the local ecosystem here, right? So big data and AI is one of the key focus for us to drive different industry areas, retail, agriculture, financials, governments, healthcare, manufacturing, logistics, especially. So here on the second part is on the digital talents. Digital talents, what we are trying to do is very much on how to leverage on our digital technology to enable different perspective of the this learning persona, right? To ensure that there's enough readiness to the market. We are trying to educate the industry, sharing our experience with industry about the technology, the trend, and then this leading practices sharing. Right. On the education side, is very much on how we continue to help to build the real digitals talents, the real digital these students, like through the learning not only in this university but also to the secondary school and the K-12 areas, right? So and the most important thing is we continue to foster the digital talent supply to the market. So professionals training is one of the important key areas that we are focusing by building this together with the team, right? So hope that with this different kind of talent program that we underlay the whole structures, right? We are able to inspiring, incubating and supporting more new ideas come from local ecosystem, right? And bring them to commercialize, right? To global through our Go China Go Global program. So on the other side, this is also the last piece of the whole initiative that we are looking into fostering digital economy in Malaysia, right? By through this building of the inclusive digital platform for the local SME, right? For them to build their innovations to support the SME users, right? So with this, we believe that first of all, we can able to help to create more job opportunities, right? With nurturing more this digital startup, right? And at the same time, we are promoting more the Malaysia technology and Malaysia IPs, right? Through this e-service hub as a technology platform, and then bring their services not only in Malaysia but to the global, right? So on the SME side, definitely we will once don't kill two birds. We are able to help them to know how in the digital adoption and through this experience sharing and also working with this funding as advisory capacity building with this different agency, right? Especially Mdec, right? So to further facilitate the SME in business digitally, right? So here is some of the example on what we can see, right? So we use these AI technologies to help the manufacturing to simplify the whole implementations of this production line. So at the same time, helping them to do to automate the material shortings, then by this then improving their productivities, right? By 50% and reducing their error rate up to more than 95%, so that at the same time we help them to increase their top line and reduce their bottom line, give them more bandwidth and margin for them to expand their business. Right. So on the other side, in the Jingyun, right? In China side, we have a similar AI technologies that helping them to do documents collections, to the scanning, to the business processes, automate the whole process out, so that they were able to identify the ID card. They were able to get through the whole documentation process digitally, right? Reduce all the waiting time, all the improve the experience and the conveniency for the users, right? So with this, then you can see the most important thing is not only how to build the technology, bring the technology into Malaysia to do this technology knowledge transfer to the Malaysians, right? We also try to enable Malaysian to these commercializations into the regional and the global markets, right? So on here, there's a Go China program. There's dual services from the Malaysia and also China bridgings, right? Especially with this technology assistant and also the experience sharing from what we have present in the different countries, right? So on the other side, especially come to the Malaysia parts, right? In order to transcend Malaysia digital exposure to a next level, it's very important for us to build the next unicorn in the countries and also especially in the regions, right? So here we are trying to develop and groom these Malaysian companies and partners, right? Via sell to sell with and sell through together with Huawei, so that the building their success will become a success for Huawei as well at the same time, right? And especially to give this will give the exposure and also these capabilities for the Malaysians, right? Companies that especially headquartered in locally, right, able to skyrocket to the global stage, right? So some of the partners later on you see they are also this top 10 winner for the Spark Hoy Spark Malaysia as well, right? So later I will let them introduce themselves, right? So with this as a conclusion, right? The infrastructure is a very important foundation and also the pivotals, right, to empower the users, the industry onto the digital business transformation journey, right? Thanks. This is my speech for all. Right. Back to you, Can you?
Thank you very much, Katie. I think a very interesting presentation. You talk about various aspects, including from talent development, helping the local ecosystem, and various programs in which you can help Malaysian companies to go global. So I think this is certainly interesting. I know we are not going to have Katie in the panel discussion. However, I know we have your colleague who will be representing Huawei. So we'll be grilling him on some of the things that Huawei will be able to help the local tech ecosystem here in Malaysia, as well as the SME users. So thank you very much once again, Katie, for the wonderful presentation. Okay, now we move on to the, I would say, a little bit fast-moving session where we invite 5 companies under the Mdec GAIN program that will be sharing with you some of the key solutions as well as the products that they have that can make a change to your business here. Because I know some of you are looking for solutions and we are presenting 5 companies here today. So each of them will be given 10 minutes to do a quick sharing about what they do and how they can help you. Start off first is the first company is Ascendo. Ascendo Technologies is founded in 2009. It's a Malaysian headquartered HR technology company with clients across the ASEAN region. Ascendo's goal is to help companies improve their organizational agility and build business resilience by enabling them to tap on their strongest asset, and that is their people. So with that, allow me to invite Mr. Sharma Lachu, who is the founder and the Chief Executive Officer of Ascendo Malaysia. So with that, over to you, Sharma.
I don't like him. He wears pink all the time. Something must be wrong with him. I'm sorry. I know you're the best person for the job, but you know, the boss decided to hire his friend. Sorry lah, you're not the right color Malaysian. These are all things I have heard, you have heard, we've all heard in our careers. The implicit bias that creeps in to people decision making leads to a huge problem we're all facing today. A problem I call the invisible leakage. At Ascendo, we propel to drive towards solving this problem by driving better augmented intelligence and to bring that to people every day. As human beings, we are all attached to a machine 24/7 that is 100 times more powerful than the computer that landed in the moon for NASA. And yet we are okay with this idea because it helps make our life better. At Ascendo, we aim to use the same augmented intelligence model to help individuals be the best experience at work. Why at work? Because we do work more than we do anything else in our life. Good morning, everybody. My name is Sharma, found Ascendo, and I'd like to spend the next 10 minutes with you walking through what we do. The world we live in today is one that is fraught with a lot of human biases. And we'll never get rid of human biases, but what we need to be able to drive towards with all the digitalization capability we have with us is to be able to manage this toward a better outcome. And in doing that, reports show that by 2030, so this was a 2020 report, right? So within a decade and now 9 years, there would be a total loss of unrealized economic revenue of $8.4 trillion because one, the demand of skilled workers will outstrip the supply. And two, the fundamental problem of the invisible leakage. Because the demand will outstrip the supply, what eventually happens is we will keep putting people who are not right for the job in these positions. The leakage of the efficiency of the decisions they make will lead us to worse decisions throughout the time. You extrapolate that by the number of years they stay in that position, and you extrapolate that by the number of years people stay in an organization. And it's ridiculous. Organizations are very quickly realizing this and trying to frantically redesign their talent strategies, but they're not getting the desired results. Today, 57% of people still believe it's easier for them to find a job outside the organization than it is for them to find a job within the organization. You compound that with a bigger problem that CEOs do not believe that organizations are actually putting the best person for the best role at the right time. This is a problem we are all facing, whether you're a 20-man company or whether you're a 197,000-man company. Nudge, nudge, Huawei. Right? You're all facing this problem. So in order to do that, the Ascendo point of view, or we postulate that the best way to solve this problem is to find ways to imbue science into the art of people performance. Right? At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is to be able to augment the human experience with better scientific data, better AI, to be able to help individuals and businesses make decisions on demand about themselves. People are all complex, right? I've been in this space for almost 20 years now, and I've heard everything from, I shake your hands, I know whether you're good, right through, I spent 2 minutes with this person, I don't need to hire this person. Right. We believe that because we often try and mirror ourselves, that the decisions we make are amazing, but people's behavior are very, very complex. And this complexity leads to unpredictable outcomes. And any economist will tell you unpredictable outcomes and the fluctuations of these outcomes are terrible for predictions. Businesses are trying to become more and more sustainable in their competitiveness, trying to figure out how to smoothen the curve of profitability. And in trying to achieve this, we need a way to measure and predict how people can perform within an organization, so we are able to predict the economic success of this journey. Right? I look at the global scale, and you read all these reports. Right? Businesses today need to succeed, and very often, in order to need to succeed, they either need to be better than their competitor or they need to hyper innovate. In doing both of these journeys, people are key to their strategy. Unless, one day we start creating an organization where you don't need people and your company is run by code, until then, people still run your organization. And no matter how great your strategy, people are the ones implementing the strategy. So if you don't have a method to be able to put the right person in the right place at the right time, you're always going to have this invisible leakage. How does Talent Pulse come into the picture? Talent Pulse is a talent intelligence platform that looks at how we can curate data the same way, branding departments look at how you design products, the same way sports teams design how you build the peak athlete. We look at the same models and look at data measurement capabilities to be able to identify a holistic capability of an individual. So we measure an individual based on data that's socially and publicly available, but also add on very robust scientific methodologies to be able to then validate this journey across the process. Once we're able to use all this data, we're then able to make or postulate. I'm oversimplifying this for 10 minutes, but we were able to postulate three very simple things, right? How do I use this individual, whether external or internal? How do I personalize learning? Now, earlier I was hearing Ryan speak about some really nice things, right? So I'm going to use Ryan as an example. Now, Ryan and Sharma could be doing exactly the same jobs, but our cognitive capability could be different. Our behaviors could be different. Personalities could be different. And because of that, our learning styles could be different. How do we use this augmented intelligence to be able to cater for learning styles that are separate for Ryan and separate for Sharma in very simple ways? And then give back the power to Sharma or Ryan to decide how they want to craft the journey for their future. When you do this, I think that the idea is very simple. We start with the individual gain, right? Because at the end of the day, an organization is nothing but a collective of individuals trying to drive towards the same outcome. So you want to start at the individual, and the benefit to the individual compounds to the benefit of the organization. You want the individual to have a clearer sense of their capability. You want them to have a personalized career trajectory so they understand what the next 3 years, 5 years is going to look like. You want them to seek proactive betterment. You want these things to happen naturally within the organization, and you want to create some level of competitiveness in this process. That automatically reduces business risk of wrong decision. You're able then to drive towards better efficiency because you need lesser people to do more things. You're becoming leaner, you're becoming meaner, and you're able to improve customer confidence. My customer confidence very often translates to better profit. Why? Because if I like what you do, I trust what you do, I end up buying what you sell. And in doing that, I think what I want to be able to do is very quickly show you, this is a project that we worked on with Axiata. And today Axiata is one of our biggest clients. We worked all their divisions across all the countries. Someone so big, you would have thought they would have something like this already put in place. No, let me set the scene, right? So they already have a very big SAP-driven solution within Axiata. So they have their core HR systems. They have big consultants coming in. They've got all these things, but they were not able to use decisions on demand to be able to drive for this. So for the next 10 seconds, I'd like to show you a very quick video of what and how Axiata were able to then use the data on demand to be able to make very quick mobility decisions across country at their whim and fancy. This seems very simple, but prior to us coming in, Axiata used to take about 3 months to solve this problem. With this process, today, every 3 months once, they sit for 3 hours to 4 hours, and they're able to make this decision within that 3-4 hour span. We've dropped efficiency from something that used to take 3 months to be able to do to about 4 hours. And it's that, in my mind, is digital. It's not about automating processes. It's about giving you the right insights at the right time so you're able to make sharper, better decisions. Now, throughout the rest of my time, you'll hear me keep using this term augmented intelligence. Now, in Ascendo, we don't believe in just purely the idea of artificial intelligence, because we strongly believe, especially in HR or people related environment, people must make people decisions. What you want to be able to do is augment that experience to help the individual make better, sharper, faster decisions. Today we are across 43 countries. We've got over 40 different clients that are on enterprise licenses. We've got a whole bunch more on freemium models, and already about 34,000 logins across the world. Now, this is 18 months ago. And we've got companies who are, 70, 80, 100 man businesses, right up to 300,000 man businesses who are already using this system. Now, the one thing that we really hold very dear to us is rooting for the individual. Now, most HR systems out there are driven for the purpose of organization efficiency. What we wanted to make sure we did was, as we started this process, we started with the individual in mind and how you're going to help the individual design what was best for them. So in doing that, allow me to share with you another quick video about how using something like this, the individual gets to curate the learning journey they are looking for based on the measurement that had already been given to them, that then connects their gap directly to a on-demand adaptive learning. So I think I won't go too much more. I think I've given you a sense of how someone like Ascendo can help an organization come in, do an audit of your people to understand the journey you're trying to extrapolate in the next few years, identify the gaps, be able to design and develop interventions for you to make sure they all connect through that same journey. But I always believe in a larger picture. And I always tell the people within Ascendo, we're not just building an organization, we're building a movement steeped in the belief that people have the right to have the opportunity to be the best versions of themselves. And I look forward to inviting you all to join us in this movement. If you don't mind, I would like to just end with one more small video to show you what's coming next. And this is again taking you back into how you use decisions on demand. And what I'm about to show you is how, moving forward, as you start entering into a meeting with somebody you don't know, you can understand the complexities of the individuals, the nuances of the individuals, so your meetings and your outcomes become a lot better. So with that, I will thank you all, and I look forward to building this movement with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharma. We now move on to the second company, which is Epitome. Epitome is a talent technology company serving individuals, educational institutions, enterprises, and governments as they navigate the future of work. So this is certainly interesting. Their vision is to help every individual in the world attain their true potential. So with us today, of course, we have the founder of Epitome, Mr. Jan Lambrechts. He's the founder and CEO of Epitome. So allow me to invite Jan. You have 10 minutes to share what you do. Over to you, Jan.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Jan Lambrechts here, the founder and the CEO of Epitome. And thank you for the presentation just before. It's in our space, but we want to explain you a little bit now on how we founded our company and where we're heading towards now. So when we started it off in 2016, we were actually looking at the graduates, and there was a big issue with graduates that the skills had, and then the employers with the skills they needed. There was a huge mismatch of skills. And at any given moment, at that moment in Malaysia, there was 500,000 unemployed graduates. So how can we help the graduates at that moment from the step from education to employment? How do you prepare them for the workforce? And how do you guarantee lifelong employability? And then on the next slide, if you can click, sorry. That is where we started the epitome around, where we are looking into helping individuals to become the best version of themselves, where we're helping companies to survive the fourth industrial revolution, and we're helping governments by giving them insightful, data-driven, policy-changing analytics so that they don't have to make gut decisions anymore, but they can really look at analytics and plan their workforce for the future. On the next slide, as you can see from the last few years, we know that 50% of the jobs will disappear, that we know today will disappear within 10 years. 85% of the jobs in 2030 still haven't been invented yet. But that was all pre-COVID-19 talk. Suddenly, COVID hit, and it hit us pretty hard last year as well. And I think two things came out of COVID now that people really, really realize. First thing is, the mismatch of skills is real. Look at the unemployment percentages that are going up. Yet there is a lot of job opportunities, but there is way more people unemployed. The unemployment percentages of Malaysia, Singapore, any country in Southeast Asia are at an all-time high. And the main issue that we are seeing is it is because of the mismatch of skills. Something we have been predicting already for the last few years, but now it suddenly happened. Now, the second realization that happened is that because of COVID-19, we also realized that the solution is not just about technology. It's not just about sending your people to Coursera or Lynda or Udemy and let them follow a course and they will be prepared for the future. We now know it doesn't work like that, because whatever happens today will happen again tomorrow. Whatever you learn today will be irrelevant in 2 to 3 years. So we know now that technology alone is not the issue anymore. So we need to look into a broad ecosystem. We need to look into a broad ecosystem where people are the ones in the middle. We have to look at their learning styles. We have to look at them as individual people. We have to look at the culture of companies. We have to look at different types of companies that are out there and the different kind of workforces that are there. So this is what we have been doing over the last few years. We've built our solution set based on these fundamental elements like personalized learning, enhanced vocational pathways, infusion of technical and digital technologies, etc., etc. So if we go to the next slide, what we have built over the last few years, and we have done massive amounts of testing and companies that came in, we have built a user journey. This user journey can be personalized for an individual who is an employee or is somebody who lost his job. It can also be for companies, it can also be for governments, it can also be for educational institutions. The very first part that we start with and basically end with always is the career discovery. This is where we will look into the individuals. They are employees, students, or jobless people, whatever it is. And we look into their profiling. Who are you as a person? How do you learn? What drives you? What is your motivation? Because we know that motivation has a direct correlation to performance at work. Now we know that as you as an individual, now we know where you want to go to. This is where we launched our second product, which is called Coach. We launched it in 2018. And this is where we now, based on how you learn, based on who you are as a person, now we can take content to you so you can bring yourself up one level. At that moment, now we have done all that. Now we know how you learn. We know who you are. We know what motivates you. We know what courses you have done. We can do now an in-detailed skills and job match because, again, whatever you learn today would be irrelevant in 2 to 3 years. So how do you translate somebody's 20 years or 30 years experience in a certain segment or in a certain company? How do you translate that in skills that will help him in the future of work? So that's our third product that we launched in advance and which went live here as a national product in Malaysia. And then the fourth part, now I know how you learn, I know who you are, I know what courses you did, I know your skills, I know what drives you, and know what motivates you. Now I will be able to match you and place you within internship, apprenticeships, within jobs, new jobs outside of the company or jobs within the company. So we have been testing all these products on individual ways. So for example, the career discovery is now the national profiling and assessment tool in several governments in the world, from Malaysia to Singapore to Mexico, etc. The upskilling tool has been used in various enterprises and also with civil servants and civil servants platforms like Mdec and various other companies. The Jobs and the Skills Match platform we have introduced last year in October here in Malaysia, where all 400 plus institutes of higher learning are connected to and more than 40,000 companies are connected to. And then, of course, there is the last piece of the cherry where we do the placement. And this is like big companies that are doing huge reorganizations, or like they are moving from manual welding to robotic welding. How do we make sure that our workforce is up to date so that we don't have to fire and hire, but that we can really update our current workforce into the future? We have now been going into the flexible user journeys, where we can take a mix and match of these tools based on the requirements of the potential customers, being it governments, institutions, enterprises, etc. Next slide, please. So the three products, we use them standalone because of all of them, they create a massive amount of data, but we also use them integrated. So the Catalyst profiling and self-discovery tool has been used in more than 30 countries, hundreds of thousands of data points. It can be used for team optimization. It can be used for better recruitment decisions. It can be used for reorganization. It can be used to just find out why is one team outperforming the other team, yet they have the same boss, the same tools, and the same means. So all this data is coming out to our Catalyst profiling. Then we have Coach, which is the upskilling and the reskilling tool. We focus very hard on two items, basically the micro-learning on the go. We believe in like 8 minutes, 16 minutes of targeted upskilling for the individual. So this is used as a national upskilling platform for civil servants, but also used for 100,000 plus companies to keep their staff informed or to keep their partners and customers informed. And what we also did, and I think that's a really cool feature, is that we have built a content creation tool in there, that it's not just a digital media house that needs to come and help you to create content. No, actually your employees will be able to like, hey, I just learned something about a new product. They take a few snaps, boom, and they share it with their thousands of colleagues instantly. And then we have Advanced, which is jobs and the skill matching. And this is really, really the big thing for us right now as well, is how do you now translate experience of your employees into future skills of the future of work? Because we always underestimating a little bit when an employee has been with you 3, 5, 10, 20 years, he knows way more about the culture of the company than a new MBA that you're going to hire, for example. So this is really the big thing where we are now looking into how do you translate experience into skills. On the next slide, there is some examples of projects that we currently have and that we are doing. Catalyst has been used very broadly. Like I said, several governments are using it as their de facto profiling tool to find out from the current unemployed what's their next step in life. But we're also using it with enterprises, schools, institutions are using it for the recruitment, schools are using it for the onboarding, etc. Coach, the upskilling tool, we have governments using it for the national platform for upskilling all the civil servants. Hospitals, for example, is a really cool example. We have a hospital where there's more than 7,000 nurses and doctors working there. During the beginning of COVID-19 battle, it was the nurses basically that took pictures and explained everybody, this is the new way of working, handling this pandemic. And they shared it with their 7,000 employees. So basically they were upskilling their colleagues and their workforce in a matter of minutes and hours. And then we have Advanced, which is a national platform together with Ministry of HR and Ministry of Education here in Malaysia. Next slide, please. In terms of user numbers, close to 350,000 individual users for Catalyst. The cool thing is that what we found out is that everybody that went through the profiling was ranked more employable by the companies after using our tool. Coach, we have more than 1 million users at this moment. And the cool thing is we have an 80% course completion rate. If you look into the big players that are there, it's less than 5%, sometimes less than 1%. So that course completion rate is totally crazy if you look at it. And it's only because we know how you learn, so we know how to take the right content to you. And then Advanced, we just started it, but this is a big problem that we're solving here in Malaysia for unemployment, the current unemployment. We have quite a high number of unemployed, and a big number of that is youth and young, early career job seekers. So here we are basically helping them to align with a career, because there's a big mismatch of career alignment with the graduates, with the early job career seekers here. They have studied something for 4 years, but they did it for their mom, or they followed their best friend in school. How do we align them to the future of work? How do we find a place for them in this new future of work? And we have been seeing really great results with 50% increase in career alignment. So next slide. So that was a little bit about Epitome. So the big message for us is, like, with a lifelong learning company, guaranteeing lifelong learning employability is a big one. So how do you prepare as a company for this next wave or this next problem that is going to come? How do you keep your employees in the right spot, in the right job within it? How do you make better recruitment decisions? And that's the problems that we're trying to solve. So more than happy to have a chat afterwards. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jan of Epitome. We'll now go for a short commercial break where we're going to play a video about the lucky draw prizes while we are setting up for the next session, where we will bring back Huawei and Mdec for a quick panel discussion, where we'll be grilling them on some of the questions of how you can benefit from the programs that they have. So with that, let's take a short break.
I got my peaches out in Georgia. Oh yeah, shit. I get my weed from California. That's that shit. I took my chick up to the north, yeah. Badass bitch. I get my light right from the source, yeah. Yeah, that's it. And I see you. The way I breathe you in. It's the texture of your skin. I wanna wrap my arms around you, baby, never let you go. And I see you. There's nothing like your touch. It's the way you lift me up. Yeah, and I'll be right here with you till the end. I got my peaches out in Georgia. Oh yeah, shit. I get my weed from California. That's that shit. I took my chick up to the north, yeah. Badass bitch. I get my light right from the source, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
You ain't sure yet, but I'm for ya. All I could want, all I could wish for. Nights alone that we miss more, and days we save as souvenirs. There's no time, I wanna make more time.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have heard from two presentations from the two companies that presented earlier. However, let's bring back Huawei and Mdec for a quick chat in terms of what they can do. So with that, allow me to invite Mr. Ryan Chan of Mdec back on stage, as well as you would see Mr. Lau Wai Chung of Huawei, who will come on stage with us, and this is where I'll get to ask them a couple of questions, and also the questions that some of you may have posted. I'll be also asking them some questions for the next couple of minutes. So with that, are they back on stage?
Hi,
Hi Ryan.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi Rachel.
Hello,
welcome to this panel discussion. We will keep it a bit more free-flowing and keep it a bit easy, but I'll be grilling you on some questions. So for Wei Chung, unfortunately, you did not get to present, but Katie presented, but you'll be the guy who will be answering the questions on behalf. Okay, yeah. So let's start off maybe with the first question. While the audience do also post questions that you may have, so that I can then direct them to the two panelists that we have here. So So first of all, Ryan, maybe in terms of what Mdec is doing, you mentioned some examples of the 5 companies that has gone regional and global, that has been able to use the various incentive package that are available. Okay, now I will maybe relate it back to My Digital as well as the recently announced national 4IR policy. What do you think Malaysian companies can do, and what is the government? Maybe I'll start off with the first one. What has the government offered in the My Digital or the national 4IR policy that Malaysian companies can fully take advantage of?
Right, thanks, Kenyu. It's a relatively easy question to start the day off with. So if I may, perhaps I won't comment on the 4th IR policy because, to be fair, I've not actually read through the document yet, and we're still processing it. But from our perspective, and with the other agencies that we work with, right? So agencies such as Smart Trade and others, there has been a number of support that's been lent to Malaysian companies when it comes to globalizing our companies to a worldwide audience, and it comes in the form of what was traditionally such as trade shows, trade delegations, trade missions, and so on. But I think also very important is that organizations such as Smart Trade, they've got offices, I think well over 70 offices worldwide, right? And we do have trade commissioners stationed in these offices. So ourselves and even many of the companies that we have within our portfolio have worked with such trade commissioners to gain connections and introductions into the respective countries, and to be able to use these connections to form partnerships or pathways to gain new business. Or the other things that we do, of course, is also within our own program. We also want to create such ecosystems where we are able to connect our companies to foreign ecosystems in other countries, and then using these pathways again similarly to forge partnerships, collaborations, and inroads into new markets. And some of these are also partnerships that we form with other trade agencies or trade organizations from our counterpart agencies in other countries, such as the recent one that we signed with Australia back in December, where there is a formal collaboration between Mdec and Austrade in connecting the digital ecosystem of both countries. And that is essentially one of the key things, is to facilitate the pathways of trade and investment for both countries. And at the same time, I think what's also important for us is to be able to as we connect to all these innovation centers and innovation cities around the world, to be able to learn from our peers in these countries, right, with commercial and public sector peers, what they're doing, how they're doing things, and then, you know, as we learn, we improve our products, our services, and at the same time to be able to find ways of partnering and collaborating together and accessing new markets and new customers. I think at the end of the day, it's all about how do we enlarge the pie and share this out across with everyone.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Ryan. Talking about enlarging the pie and how Huawei can play a key role there. So we're glad to have Wei Chung on board as well. So how are you helping Malaysian ISVs, software developers? How can Huawei then play a key role in terms of helping them to grow and enlarge the pie?
Yep. Thanks, Kenyu. So I would say that our Huawei approach is very industrial centric and business driven. So we bridge ISV to the actual customers, and we also look into the prospect on how eventually the solution can grow to the next unicorn, right? And we know that growing ISV is not easy job. It is not within like the overnight thing. Okay, so in our team, what we usually do with the ISV is that to relook into their business prospect, although those are not part of our job, but then we know that that is very important, and get the business model right, charging model right, so that otherwise you have a good solution. If you don't price it correctly, it will not hit the market, right? So we want to ensure that they listen to the customer and they have the right pricing model that fit into the customer appetite. Okay, and from that perspective, we also want to make sure that the ISV are comfortable with our cloud platform and how we can usually tag together and move along. So it is actually a little bit beyond technologies, right? So it is a combination of cloud, 5G, AI, and all these all together to really tell the customers how ISV solutions together with Huawei support can basically address concern business problem. And of course, furthermore, if we can help them innovate further, right? And in this pandemic session, is all about innovation and how to break through the current so-called market challenges. I think, as what I always share with the rest, is all about supply and demand problem. Okay, how do you bring supply to demand is the biggest challenges during this pandemic, and we apply the same principle across all the ISV hand holding session, go to market, and all this. So we do not really left them just after the mass marketing activities, for example. So we want to ensure that we grow together, and usually to grow ISV, it takes 3 months to 6 months easily. Yeah. So that is our commitments towards the local ISV. And we also have the Grow China program that basically bring them even much further. All right. So for example, if we have a very niche so-called solution, we are willing to really bring them into the China market or vice versa to the worldwide market as well. So I have a very good example where a digital bank digital core banking ISV providers that comes to us and say, hey, we are actually serving the Euro-Asia market and also some African markets, focusing very much on the second and third tier banking and leveraging on Huawei Cloud Network. This is how we can really bring them very far. So we are building the next unicorn together. Yeah, thanks.
So Wei Chung, thanks. So Huawei has a platform that helps ISVs. So now I will direct the question back at Ryan. How then do you think SMEs can benefit from some of the program it already has? It may be, for example, there's the SME digitalization grant, information grant, the digital transformation acceleration program. So there are various programs available. But what do you think SMEs, small businesses, when they think, okay, I want to go on the cloud, I need this solution, how can they then turn to the government to ask for assistance?
Well, I think you've actually pointed out already some of the assistance that's available, which are the various grants that's channeled through us. Some of them are channeled through other agencies, the SME Digitalization Grant, the Smart Automation Grant. I do believe that MIDA also has a grant as well that's focused primarily on the manufacturing sector. So all these grants are already available, and that's accessible. The information on that is accessible through the website of these respective agencies, right? But I think the key thing is that, beyond that, to be able to identify what are your other needs. The reason why I say that is because many of these grants can be limited in nature in terms of the amount of funding that's available and limited in scope, right? So like some of the grants you mentioned, I think it's limited to I think 6-7 different specific areas. Cuts across most of the general needs of every SME. But for SMEs that have already covered these needs, then I think that's where they need to perhaps work with, come and approach us, talk to us, what are your needs? And from our portfolio of companies, we can recommend to you, what other kind of solutions, what other kind of technologies would be relevant to you. And Huawei also has this program, which is called the MyBiz program, which again, I think that's also an outreach program that's targeted specifically to small, medium enterprises, small, medium businesses, and which, again, the scope is a lot bigger than what we're covering in terms of the grants being offered. And I think that's where, together, working hand in hand with all the stakeholders involved to identify what are the solutions, what are technologies that can come in to help businesses. I think the main thing is, it's like what Wei Chung mentioned, is right. It's not technology for the sake of technology, right? It's about technology and solutions that can help a business. And what's critical for businesses right now would be cost reduction, complexity reduction, increase of revenues, and maybe even looking at how do you spin out a new business model or maybe a whole new business pillar or business unit by itself from technology. And I think that's the key thing.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, maybe shifting gear a little bit, because a lot of the presentation has talked about people and talent. So I thought this also can be an interesting subject. This is also some of the main or issue that faced by small businesses in terms of getting the right talent for the right solution that they may want to implement. How then do you see, I think this question can be directed to both of you all, in terms of the talent development aspect, how can both, I think, Huawei as well as the Malaysian government in terms of roles they play when it comes to talent development? I'd probably start with Wei Chung first, because I saw that in the presentation earlier that KT gave.
Okay, sure. So I think, yeah, that is a continuously challenging questions to Malaysia due to our policy or our market environmental that causing there's a lot of talents moving out from the country. So hiring talent is always a headache, right? And with Huawei, we have multiple programs that's in place to really help to enable and also handhold the partners. Okay, that is not only saying that on, for example, on the foundation of cloud technologies, big data, AI. So there are also cases that we basically have expertise from our HQ to come down to the ground and basically guide the partners or ISVs together to really resolve some of the problem in terms of like 4.0, where we have our HQ engineers to basically help in designing sensors and put it into a full-blown solution to make the entire solution works on under the cloud so-called perspective. And of course, with the upcoming 5G that coming into picture, there will be totally a change on the solution landscape, right? So that's how I would say Huawei playing a very big role in terms of enabling the local. So that's one thing. Second thing is that through partnerships within the country itself, and also bridging us to the Chinese ecosystem. There's also another techniques that we are using to really support this Malaysian market, because being knowing that there's a very strong partners from China, from Singapore, all around the world, right, who has basically built big stuff, right? If you say that in terms of AI and big data, for example, we know that China has been doing quite a massive achievement compared to the West, right? And how do we bring this skill set to the ground in Malaysia? So give you a few more example, like for example, are you able to do a city modeling without using drone, right? So now China has a technology to model the entire city using satellites. So this is the technologies that we can bring to the ground here, and we are actually in conversation with some of the customer as already. So together with enable partners, that is how we can basically help to push the market moving forwards. Because we're pretty sure that, for example, smart cities, we have been talking about, yes. So how do we turn this on with technologies, with the help of partners or talents from overseas and also the local ecosystem to make things happen? So that I think this is how Huawei playing a role in building up the talent pool. Yeah.
Thanks, Rachel. Ryan, would you like to add anything at this point on talent?
Yes, so just perhaps just very briefly. So as I mentioned, we have a division that looks into talent development, particularly in the digital sector. So they work with primary, secondary, tertiary institutions of education when it comes to this. Alongside that, I think there has been a couple of different programs, well, more than a couple, to be honest, programs focused on skills development. So we've got programs that are looking at imparting or inputting e-commerce and social commerce skill sets to interested parties, and that's something that's obviously very key right now as more and more people are shifting to business online. There has been programs in focusing on getting particularly disrupted workers and get them connected to what we call sharing economy platforms, such as ride-hailing platforms, food delivery platforms, where we connect the workers to these platforms to get these kind of jobs. Of late, there's also been an initiative where we are creating a platform which looks into connecting freelance workers to job opportunities. So these are freelance jobs that can be done from the home. Things such as things like graphic design, data entry jobs, and so on that can all be placed online. And we have a platform for that to connect interested parties together. And then the most recent one would be another initiative where there's an incentive for hiring companies if they're hiring specific skill sets in terms of data science or database skills, and there is an incentive to support this kind of hiring. Again, we've got a platform for this. And of course, not forgetting the different partnerships that we have with training organizations, both local training organizations and global training organizations, which are the, what's the term they use? MOOC, the multiple user online courses, right? Those kind of partnerships that we have with these organizations, providing training and skills development in digital.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to keep you here for one final question, Ryan, and this one will be on your specific role when it comes to global business development. Maybe in just the next one minute, what would be the key focus of Mdec when it comes to this specific area of business development to help, especially gain companies to gain traction in this region?
Yeah. So I think it's essentially what I shared earlier. It's revolving around a program which is GAIN. And it's all about identifying the high growth, high potential Malaysian-based digital companies, and then taking them into new markets. And as we take them into new markets, it's all about connecting these companies to partners and opportunities to ramp up the business. And the key word, I think it's not that we're magicians, right? But the key word here is that we want to be able to reduce the time taken for them to go to market. So we work with these companies on various campaigns and activities, and hopefully with these kind of pathways and ecosystems that we've established, we are able to reduce the time taken to go to market for them. Key focus for us primarily is in Southeast Asian countries, because I believe that's where we have a natural, so to speak, home ground advantage, right? Within Southeast Asia, and that should be naturally the first point of contact for many of us and for many of our companies. And then as we establish our presence in the region, then we slowly gravitate upwards into other parts of the world, other parts of, globally.
Thank you very much, Ryan, for joining us. And now the question for Wei Chung. Okay, maybe you just elaborate a little bit more on the program that you mentioned just now, because certainly the Blossom program that you talked about is going to be very exciting for Malaysian companies. And how can they then reach out to you to look at their business model, to look at their product offering, look at their pricing strategy? What are some of the things that they can do when they reach out to you?
So yeah, we have quite a number of different programs to help building all this ISV. We have program tailored for different sizing and different maturity of the company. So Spark is for the startup, Blossom is for the media startup, and even we are quite well connected together with Mdec and some of the venture capitalists to even help them in the upcoming funding like Series A, B, C fundings, right? So we have been helping quite a number of companies in this area. So I think the easiest way to really start this conversation is to reach out to Huawei, and we start a conversation. We will have a series of so-called mechanism and tool set to evaluate the company maturity and to determine what will be the best mechanism to move them on. Okay, and we also in the same time will be measuring their gap. If we can close the gap from the help of the existing partners, or we can build their skill set towards to close the gap, right? So so let's rest assured that we have all these things in place. So for example, we even have a new program just to give some so-called spices in this session. Is like we can even throw in cash to partners to just ensure that they are well encouraged in onboarding to Huawei Cloud and doing the business together with us. So I think in terms of this so-called cash funding for this ISV, right, the requirement is also quite linear in this case. So we are looking forward on how to really groom all these businesses together. Yeah. So just start talking to us. I think that's very initial first step. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Wei Chung. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me for this session. We hope you found it useful, ladies and gentlemen. If you would like to continue any conversation with Mdec as well as Huawei, let us know. You can reach out to them directly or through Pikom. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We are now on to the next session where we're going to invite this innovative company called Innovative. I've known George for a number of years. He's the Chief Exec Innovative. And let me share with you just quickly in just a couple of sentences, they are a certified AI company helping businesses to widen their sales funnel. Now that's important. Speed up processes without paper and prevent fraud using digital ID assurance technologies to support digital customer onboarding. So you'll be hearing a lot about eKYC, but I'm not the expert here. George is the expert, so let me pass it to George. George, you have 10 minutes for this session.
Thank you, Kenyu, for the introduction. Good to be here, and thank you again for having me here. Good morning, everyone. My name is George Lee. I'm the CEO of Innovative Solutions. We are an AI-based company that provide identity assurance solution throughout the Southeast Asia region. Now, interestingly, you know, with the pandemic today, what we are seeing is that everyone is saying that, you know, all businesses have to go digital. And we have seen the big rapid change in the whole market. Now, going digital can have many impacts as well, because what we are also seeing is the trend is changing so much that we have customers who were actually saying that they are very agent-based and they do not really want to go digital, because then what will happen to their agent? Are also finding hybrid ways to go to the market to basically see how they can have something where the agent can also work with digital to basically serve the marketplace. So every single company out there, whether it's enterprises or SME that we know, are looking at way to basically conduct business better online. You know, with the constant lockdown, and I think most of you have read that, you know, we probably have to live with the virus for the next 2 or 3 years, or maybe even more, or maybe there'll be a new virus. I think there's no way for any businesses to say that they do not want to go digital. Everyone need to have some sort of digital strategy, whether it's full digital, whether it's a hybrid or one way or another. How Innovative come into play is that we provide ID assurance services where we then help you to identify the customers who want to engage with you, because these days everyone is used to contactless business. You know, even when we order food delivery or groceries or purchases online, and when the delivery guy comes, we don't even go out, right? We'll just ask them to leave it on the pillar or hang it on the gate, and you know, we'll get it later. This will be a very new norm, you know, versus the older day where, example, if you order your road tax online, they will ask you to bring your MyCard reader, plug it in and check your thumbprint. They can no longer do that now, you know, so that's one example. Or, you know, sometimes when they send you an expensive item, they want to verify that you are that person who is actually ordering that product. They can no longer do it now again. And what more, businesses, they are regulated, you know, they need to make sure that they do proper identity checks. Again, these are all the things that businesses need to think about how they can meet all this. And that's where eKYC come into play. What essentially eKYC stand for is electronic know your customers. It's all about how do you identify the person behind the other screen that is actually the customer that who he or she say that she or he is. Now, our solution provide a 24/7 instant customer onboarding method, because these days everyone wants things to be done fast. I can no longer accept a customer, check on it next morning, you know, and you want to speed up sales even without branches. Yeah, everything has to be fast. You still need to make sure that you comply with regulations. And of course, you don't want to have all this gap to cause you financial loss. And of course, most important of all, you want to prevent any identity fraud, especially for businesses where you are also giving out something, you know, that the customer pay later or is regulated. What we have seen when we are doing eKYC to the market is that our customers experience at least roughly about 36% less fraud compared to when they were doing the process manually without any eKYC solution. Now, how does the eKYC works? If you look at the screen here, it's just an example where what we are doing is that we are authenticating your identity, all right, using AI to pick it all up. We are then checking whether the person behind the screen, is it a live person? Is it a piece of paper? Is it a computer screen? How do you know that it's a live person? If it's a live person, is my face the same as the ID that you see on the screen? And after that, how do you know if the photo of the ID that I just took is a real valid ID? It's not something that I have photocopied on my printer. It's not something that I printed internet. It's not something from a computer screen that I actually snapped somebody else's IC. So our AI solution enable you to do all that in less than 1 minute. This is what our solution does. This way, it allows your business to onboard customer in a very seamless manner, yeah, and enabling customer to instantly enjoy whatever sign up or services that they require to. Innovative have been in business for more than this is our 10th year actually, yeah. So we've been doing this for quite a while, and we actually are also one of the leading provider of eKYC, especially in the telco sector. Our technologies are all developed in Malaysia, is patented, and we also provide end-to-end implementation to a lot of customers. So we are not just saying that we are a service on the cloud where you connect and you just check for the eKYC component, but we also serve with some customer where we provide the whole entire onboarding solution. And of course, the other unique factor is that we are not just providing eKYC for Malaysian market, but throughout the whole ASEAN region. So for companies that are basically looking out to expand into the ASEAN region and you want a eKYC solution that's robust, that can support every single ASEAN country that you go through, please come and talk to us. This is what we can provide. So I'm going to talk a bit also about our customers base. We basically started doing eKYC back in 2018. That was 4 years ago, because really before that you don't really have eKYC that actually exists. And we started off with the telco sector. Udo was our very first customer. They are still with us today. We are very glad for that. And they are a full digital telco. And what we do is that we enable them for you to order a SIM card on their app. They send the SIM card to you, you get it, you scan the SIM card, scan your IC, capture a selfie, and your SIM card is activated. So that's how we actually, spearheaded the eKYC in the telco sector. And today we have various other telcos, Celcom, Maxis, and etc. that's also using our eKYC solution. And then we move into the financial sector, into e-wallets, banking, fintech, insurtech, and many various other industries. And last year alone, we did about 3.5 million eKYC transaction, and we are aiming to do about 7.5 million this year. So what are the things that is going beyond is that, eKYC is not something that is just for the financial sectors. It's not just for the telco sectors. It's basically for any business that need to verify their own customer. We have even customers that today that have grown into area like car sharing, property tag, for example. If you want to, you want to be able to eKYC the tenant with the landlord. These are also things that you can do. But moving forward, what we believe is that is to provide to the market something where everyone can eKYC. Because end of the day, as much as what we are doing today, our enterprise solution, we are thinking of how to bring this down to SME and even down to individual level. In the future, could I eKYC anyone I want from across the region? This is the aim that we are aim to provide to the whole entire market as well. If I hire a maid from Indonesia, can I eKYC this person before I take her into my house to take care of my children? If I'm going to get a contractor to renovate my house before I pay, the 30-50% down payment, can I check this guy and make sure that he's okay, that he do not have any court case? I have this experience where my house, I did the renovation halfway. My contractor told me, tomorrow I wouldn't be on site, and I asked him why, and he said, I have to go to court. I was like, what? You got a court case? what happened if you are guilty and you got into something, what's going to happen to my house? So these are also things that can be prevented from eKYC down to the peer-to-peer level. And this is the future that we predict, and the future is for us to also bring all these enterprise solutions down to SME level, where anyone can use eKYC. When I want to hire someone, I'm going to give him my lorry tanker, worth 500,000. I want to know who this person is. And this is how eKYC can help your business, because with AI, we are talking about running things on a 24/7 basis. AI doesn't take leave. They don't have medical issues. And this is how we believe that we can help companies in Malaysia to basically digitize their business and go out to the whole entire ASEAN or even the global region. So that's all from me. I hope you find this presentation insightful. Google us online. You'll be able to see some of the videos of how our customer users or even our product information. Feel free to reach out to us if you like to. So thank you very much again to Pikom for the opportunity to speak here. That's all from me. Thank you. And I wish everyone a good day. Stay safe.
Thank you very much, George Lee of Innovative. I think you have heard from him. Let's move on to the fourth company on our list here today. It's the company called Orange Fin. So Orange Fin's main focus is to provide robotic process automation, RPA. So you have heard a lot about that, but with AI robots as well as computer vision. So as business aim for greater agility, RPA has enabled them to perform multiple tasks in a faster and a more cost-effective way. So you will hear from Orange Fin develop Orange Work. And this, I will pass it on to Mr. Robin Hu to share with you more. Over to you, Robin.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Pikom. Thanks, Huawei, and thanks also Mdec to organizing this. Orange Fin Asia is actually a robotic workforce process automation company. So we're trying to create extension to the workforce. So we are trying to create robots companion that can assist in your daily work. Now, most of the time, if you look at the work that's being done by the employee, most of them are actually repetitive, mundane, and also quite long, lengthy in terms of what they need to do. But these are the things that actually a robot can actually take over. Now, I personally have this experience that I go into work 8 o'clock, I start focusing on very creative stuff that I need to do, some tasks, some problem that I need to solve. And time passed, and I forgot to do some some tasks that I normally need to do. Now, even those most of these tasks are not repetitive and not really take a lot of my time. But if I miss it, it actually impact the company performance. So things like merging, taking data, reading email, filling up forms, and stuff like that. So of course, there's a lot of reminder software. There's also a lot of but what I really need is something that can help me to do my work. Some PA that can help me. But of course, we can't be having PA for everybody, right? Personal assistant, a human PA for everybody. So what we did is we introduced robot that can help you to do your work. Now, the main advantage, I think, just as mentioned by Innovative, is that The thing with robot is it never rests. It works 24/7. Same thing. The cost is actually very low because it runs 24/7. After you implement it, the only thing that you need is actually electricity. And the number 3 and number 4 is actually design consideration. It must be able to run across multiple platforms and do multiple functions. And finally, it must be able to work on your existing system. So it cannot be something that, oh, I implement robot, I need to enhance all my existing system. Then it's going to be very difficult. So how many times you talk to an IT provider and they say that you want this feature, you have to implement a new system. You want that feature, you have to upgrade your new system. But the thing with the robot is that it's just like a 14, 15-year-old trainee that you can use. So as long as you can do it on a computer, the robot can do it. The trainee can do it for you. So a little bit about Orange Fin Asia. We started this journey in 2018. We're an MSc status company focusing on AI and also artificial intelligence. That's where we work very closely with Mdec and also very closely with Huawei because of the AI and also their cloud capability. Now, on the right side, we are the first robotic workforce software in Malaysia. I think in this region, we are also one of the first. We have our first bank customer in 2018, and then we implemented in a bank. Later, I will explain what we did with the bank. We also move on to a cloud because we want to put a robot in every company. So moving the cloud help in terms of bringing down the cost of it. So, like I say, we want to be a leading player in the AI-driven robotic workplace. We want to put one robot workforce in every company, and we believe 60 to 80% of a work being done in any company or any employee can actually be robotized. Now, especially now during pandemic, there are two situations here. One is you have to work from home, but there's a lot of things that need to be done in the office. Things that sensitive data, things that you need to access the system in the office. I know given time, everything will be on the cloud and will be able to move. But for now, you have systems that you can't actually, you need to access from the office, and this robot can help you. Secondly is that social distancing. If you are in the office, you need to make sure that you have social distancing. So you most likely have only 50% of the people that can actually go to the office. So what about the other work that you need to do? So we need to make sure that a person can extend their functional capability. So for a robot to work, it must be able to see. So whatever is on the screen, the robot must be able to see. That's the orange vision, or what we call computer vision. And it must be able to think, and you will be amazed what are the things that you need. A simple thing like completing a task also require common sense. Make sure things are safe, make sure the files are there, make sure the things are there, things that we take granted for a person to do. Coupled with AI, you need to be able to think and make decisions. And finally, you must be able to move the mouse and the keyboard and do whatever the computer can do. Now, the other thing is that if you want to replace a workforce, the guy cannot be sick. Okay, for example, if I were to implement a computer companion with you, and the guy is down 30% of the time, just like a person every week he got Friday or Thursday he's sick, computation problem and stuff like that, you most probably will also replace the person. So this robot workforce must be able to self-preserve and also self-aware. And also it must be communicating to you via the easiest way, which is actually a mobile. We actually have a mobile monitoring system that's on your mobile, whether it's iOS or Android. So as the robot is working in the office, you can be at home or at anywhere else, you can know what the robot is doing. Now, of course, it can do things like data preparations oops, sorry. So on the left side, you are seeing the robot and data preparation using an Excel. So if you have systems, it can operate the system. It can also do data preparation using Excel. Now, the good thing is that Excel, your worksheet, your formula, and your data, and you are not changing anything. You can take over anytime, and you understand what the robot is doing. So you assume this robot is like a 15-year-old person, doesn't come with business knowledge. You don't expect the robot to come with knowledge or for accounting knowledge, but it can do exactly what you ask it to do. And it can also to do, for example, So on the center is actually operating website. So if you need it to actually operate any website, take from system A, system B, and then check for system C, and then update your system D. On the right side is actually operating green screen, which is client server screen. So it's actually also, so it's a robot. So it's the same robot that operates website. It also operates the green screen. It's just the same robot, and it runs 24/7. And for you to be able to monitor this robot, we actually put everything on cloud. So you have the job designer studio, the control center, and the mobile is actually on cloud also. So if you look at it, whatever you can see what the robot is doing, you can actually do it on the mobile too. So the mobile actually helps you to be able to understand what the robot is doing. Now, a human being will pick up a phone to call you if something is not working. So you have a mobile for the robot to communicate to you too. So all our training actually HRDF. We set up what we call Orange Fin Academy, where we train people in terms of robots and stuff like that. Now this is a new thing. We need to train from school leavers to people that just lost their job, or people that haven't worked quite a long time, also to business owners and people that runs the business to understand how to use the robot. So we actually established Orange Fin Academy, and within the academy, all the courses are HRDF Corp certified that you can claim if you're SME. And we also have YouTube channels that you can understand what a robot is and how the robot is working on. Now, the simple way of actually getting the robot getting the robot going is only 5 steps. So you download the robot, or you can have everything on the cloud, and then you create the job, you configure the script, and then you get the job running, and it will run just like that. Now, there's no programming required. There's no C, there's no Java and stuff like that. What you can do with the computer, what you can see, you can tell the robot what to see and what to configure. So a lot of people ask me whether I need to do business process engineering to actually do this. Actually, you don't need, because when you train a trainee, you will start with what we call a good flow, that our happy flow. So normally your happy flow will cover 80% of what you do, 60 to 80% of what you do. Of course, you will have unhappy flow 1, unhappy flow 2. So first week you cover the happy flow, and if the trainee can help you to do the happy flow 1, then next week you will teach him. If you see unhappy flow 1, exception number 1, this is how you handle. So these are all being trained step by step, just like you are doing training a trainee. So currently we are contributing in a 12 sector that we are in. So banks, logistic company, and stuff like that, all the way up until healthcare, IT services to monitor. And then we have a lot of SMEs that are able to use this. So you use it just like a trainee in your office 24/7 running the task that you do. So a sample of what are the things that are being done in the SME. So you have account AR, AP, GR kind of automation. You have things like statement of account automation, sales process automation, things like keying in bill or lading, online data integration. These are all the things that you can do. So for example, moving from system A to system B, you actually purchase a new system to replace a 20-year-old system, and you want to migrate from system A to system B, you can actually get the robot to do it. Okay, so because system A is no longer supported. Now I want to talk a little bit about what we did with the banks. So we help the banks to do AI check clearing. So 50% of the check is actually cleared by the AI robots. The bank save around $1 million US a year in terms of implementing this, and it can run 24/7. Same thing with regulatory reporting. They have this Excel reports or the regulatory website that they need to update all the time. So this allows them to use the robot to do this. And in terms of regulatory reporting, they save around $300,000 US every year just to automate this, just after automate this. Okay, that's all I have for my presentation this morning. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Robin. Thank you for on how Orange Fin can help companies without PA to have a robot in every business. So let's move on to the final presentation for today before we go into the panel discussion. So with us today, of course, we have Secure Metric. I think Sritek, or Mr. Bo Sritek, is the Vice President of Secure Metric. He's in charge of regional sales. Let me just introduce Securemetric. It's one of Southeast Asia's players in the field of digital security solutions. You have heard terms like, for example, software licensing protection, two-factor authentication, advanced identity and access management, PKI solution, and cryptography. So I would like to invite Sritek now to share with us what Securemetric does and how it can help companies to secure themselves. So over to you, Sritek.
Right. Thanks, Kenyu, for that wonderful introduction. Yeah. A very humbling one, actually, in panels of such esteemed colleagues that I have in the IT market. We are, well, truly honored to be here. So I think we're running a little bit, probably a bit above time. So I'm gonna speed up a little bit. Well, thankfully, the topic that I'm talking about is not some super disruptive processes and AI related AI, robotics. The technology that we have for signing cloud, our digital signature platform, relies on public key infrastructure, which is, well, has been the backbone of digital signature and cryptography since the 70s when asymmetric cryptography was introduced. So it's nothing new, but the function of digital signature itself is not widely used in Southeast Asia in general. Well, one organization that has been using it for a while, and in fact, many Malaysian citizens probably do not know or realize that every time when we do our e-filing in LHDN, we are actually using digital signature. If you notice that message that pops up every time after you submit and finish your form, there will be a pop-up from LSDN that asks you to tanda tangan digital. Yeah, so that's pretty much the same technology that we're bringing here with Signing Cloud, right? So the main focus, well, especially in this current situation that we have right now, is to increase efficiency, but at the same time, you're being efficient, but you need to be legal as well. Yeah, because this is a signature. This is, in essence, replacing that wet signature that people scribble on a piece of paper to make whatever document legal, right? So that's the main idea of Signing Cloud. Okay, so on the topic of legality, right? There are a few acts that I'm going to speak about later in the slides, in Malaysia especially, that governs how legal an electronic signature and a digital signature and a digital document can be accepted in the eyes of the law, right? So in general, we need to look at these 5 factors that you see on the screen right now in my slide to pretty much make sure that a digital signature that is presented can be, is legally binding, right? So these are the electronic, well, first of all, the digital signature, of course, will be in an electronic form. You have to be able to identify and authenticate the signer. Now, this is very important, right? Currently, in the wet signature scenario, what we like to call it, when you take a pen and you ink your signature in that agreement, there will be your name, address at the bottom, right? So to ensure legality in this sense, in the digital, when you digitize a document, the identity and the authentication of the signer itself is very important, right? The third factor is also very, very crucial. The person, you have to be able to somehow enable the willful intent to sign to be authenticated. Well, I mean, you're presenting a document that is digital, right? How do you know that that person willfully signed that? There has to be an act that replaces the willful intent of picking up a pen and drawing your signature on a piece of paper, but you have to digitize that action, right? So how do you do that? Of course, the integrity of the document itself has to be easily verified, right? So how do you know from the time that somebody has signed the document digitally and it's presented 3 years in the future, for example, for as an evidence in a court of law? How do you know that document has not been tampered with from the time that it was signed up to the time that it's presented, right? So the integrity of the signed document has to be protected. And finally, the document itself and the signature has to be one, similar to how you have a piece of paper with an ink signature. You can't really, well, unless you use I don't know, some funny ink that you erase, right? But of course, nobody's going to sign and they want to, do something funny after that, right? Yeah. So somehow there's that signature to the document itself, making it one and inseparable. It can't be removed. It can be altered, right? So all of these factors, if you combine all of these factors into and easily prove it, you will then have, under the Digital Signature Act of 1997 of Malaysia, at least, a legally binding document, right? So when we talk about, when we were designing Signing Cloud in general, we had all of those 5 factors that are presented in mind, right? We making it also easy for the users to just complete signing process. So some of the signing features that I just want to highlight, of course, it has to support all of the common document formats that you have in the market right now, your Excels, your PowerPoints, your Word, your text files. So all of these documents are supported. So what you do is, when you sign up for a free account, you can just upload any document format. From there, you can proceed to set the document up and arrange the signing workflow, right? So it's very easy to use, very intuitive. In fact, my presentation is supposed to be 10 minutes. You can learn to use Signing Cloud in less than that time. So we built it with traceable signing operations. You can audit the operations actually. Also, you're able to generate reports. And there have been, when we designed this platform, we know that there will be a transition until full acceptance, right? Therefore, a handwritten signature to identify the signer's signatory location in case it's printed out, right, is also important, which you can upload your own digital signature image in our platform and do that easily. Okay, so this little screen on the right here is actually a screenshot from the mobile app that we have. So when we say the main idea is for you to be able to sign anytime, anywhere, that's why we include together with Signing Cloud, right? So if you're in the middle of the 18th hole, if there's some very important document that you need to sign, you can just pick up your mobile phone and sign it. And I will proceed to the next slide. Quickly on the features. So right now we have a web portal of the platform and also the apps which I mentioned in both operating systems, iOS and Android. So the second point here, what you see is what you sign, is also very important. So we will present the document digitally on your screen to look exactly like how it's meant to look like if it is physically presented to you. So this also helps that users that are pretty much used to doing wet signature to move in and be more comfortable with signing things digitally. Yeah, so time stamping is also very important criteria because digital documents and cryptography, as we know, as cryptography, as the computing power progresses, the current cryptography that we use to enable this digital signature may or will eventually expire. But when we employ the digital time stamping process into the picture, the validity of the signature can be very, very long term, and it may extend for longer than 10 years, in fact, right? And finally, I would like to mention also we have integration with eKYC, and I'm also very proud to say that Innovative is one of our partners here, integrated together with our signing cloud to onboard the users as well. Yeah. And as I mentioned just now, the willful intent of signing, that act has to be captured, right? So in capturing that act and trying to comply to the Digital Signature Act 1997, we have a few authentication methods that we use, and to pretty much prove and the intent, the willful intent of signing, right? So the most basic one that we have is SMS OTP. But the ones that we widely use, or all of our clients widely use, are our mobile one-time password token, which is built into our mobile app, and also biometrics push notification. So these are the favored methods right now for us to capture the willful intent of signing. Yeah, and okay, well, this is probably for the tech geeks out there that are reading, so that's listening out there. So the PDF signing and timestamp standards that we follow are the highest standards right now in the market for digital signature. Yeah, we use the CADES framework, and under timestamping we follow the Paris standards of 778. Okay, so that's for the geeks out there. More information for you guys to Google. Okay, so I'm going to quickly touch on the acts that I mentioned. Well, there are two, right? So you have the DSA of 1997. You also have the Electronic Commerce Act of 2006. Both pretty much spells how an electronic document and electronic or digital signature can be presented or can be utilized to digitize a document, like an agreement, for example. But of course, a quick disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer, right? But these acts, well, in common English terms, can be easily understood. But we can summarize a Digital Signature Act as well, the act itself mentioned public key infrastructure technologies specific. The users issue them a digital certificate and thereby allowing them to digitally sign a document legally. It also mentions the willful act, the authentication that must be done to the process of signing itself. And finally, the very strong statement under the Digital Signature Act is, of course, it mentions the non-repudiation portion. When you sign a document and the signing method complies to the Digital Signature Act, the non-repudiation here comes into play, where a signer cannot deny that he actually signed this document. Yeah, so Electronic Commerce Act of 2006 mentions electronic signature as well, right? But it mentioned it more in a loose term, where certain methods put into place are also acceptable. For example, by clicking on a check button in accepting a terms and condition, that can be part of signing, electronically signing a document as well, right? But there are a few things that that the signer needs to prove, right? Number one, the document integrity. Number two, the signature has to be in place, right? So if you put mechanisms that are too simple, it may work for a website's TC acceptance. That certain legal documents, for example, don't apply just a simple check or a simple scribble of your signature image online. Yeah, it needs to be more certain protections and verification mechanisms need to be in place. But the actions under ECA, these are the four items that cannot be electronic, at least under ECA, but it may be digitally signed using PKI. Yeah.
You may have to move a little bit faster.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks,
yeah. So those are the power. Thank you. Those are the power of attorney, wills, trust, and negotiable instruments. All right. So finally, a very fine document will look like. This is a PDF of a digitally signed document. You have the signature pop up here that you can click on, and you can also find more information as you click further. You can see the certificate authority that issues this digital certificate. All right. So yeah, thanks, Kenyu, for the reminder. Sorry for taking if I took an extra bit of time. So please visit signingcloud.com and sign up for a free account and try it out yourself. And let us know what you think. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sritek. So don't forget to sign up for signingcloud.com. So we're going to come back shortly, but we'll have a break. After the break, we will be having the panel discussion. Serena Chang of Mdec will be talking to some of the companies who presented earlier. So they'll be sharing in terms of what they can do, as well as there is the lucky draw prize. So please stay with us until the end. I know it's almost lunchtime, but let's keep it going. And now over to a short break before we continue with the panel discussion.
I got my peaches out in Georgia. Oh yeah, shit. I get my weed from California. That's that shit. I took my chick up to the north, yeah. Badass bitch. I get my light right from the source, yeah. Yeah, that's it. And I see you, the way I breathe you in. It's the texture of your skin. I wanna wrap my arms around you, baby, never let you go. And I see you, there's nothing like your touch. It's the way you lift me up, yeah. And I'll be right here with you till the end. I got my peaches out in Georgia. Oh yeah, shit. I get my weed from California. That's that shit. I took my chick up to the north, yeah. Badass bitch. I get my light right from the source, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
You ain't sure yet, but I'm for ya. All I could want, all I could wish for. Nights alone that we miss more, and days we save as souvenirs. There's no time, I wanna make more time and give you my whole life. I left my girl, I'm in my Yorker. Hate to leave it, call it torture. Remember when I couldn't hold her? Left her baggage for a mover.
I got my peaches out in Georgia. Oh yeah, shit. I get my weed from California. That's that shit. I took my chick up to the north, yeah. Badass bitch. I get my light right from the source, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I get the feeling, so I'm sure. Hand in my hand because I'm yours. I can't pretend, I can't ignore you right from me. Don't think you wanna know just where I've been. Oh.
I get my weed from California, that's that shit. I took my chick up to the north, yeah, badass bitch. I get my light right from the source, yeah, yeah, that's it. I got my peaches out in Georgia, oh yeah, shit. I get my weed from California, that's that shit. I took my chick up to the north, yeah, badass bitch. I get my light right from the source, yeah, yeah, that's it. I got my
Thank you very much for staying with us. Now we are on to the second and final panel, the fireside chat, building the enterprise of the future. So digital technologies such as cloud and mobile is enabling executives to reimagine business in the digital age. Building a 21st century business requires executives to embrace digital technologies to forge delightful customer experiences, create new or modify business processes, fend off new entrants or challenges, and to adopt new technologies. So again, we welcome back the 5 speakers earlier, and this session will be moderated by Serena Chung of Mdec, who would take the 5 speakers from Secure Metrics, from Ascendo, Innovative, Epitome, as well as Orange Fin. So welcome back, panelists, and over to you, Serena.
Thank you, Kenyu, for the introduction. Hello, I'm Serena, Regional Manager from Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, commonly known as Mdec. We are a government agency that is mandated to lead the ICT and digital economy growth in Malaysia. Established since 1996, starting with MSc initiative in Cyberjaya, today we look into various tech sectors from big data and IoT, creative digital industry, e-commerce, tech talent, and my division specifically looks into the growth of local Malaysian tech champion. We run the GAIN program to provide Malaysian tech companies opportunities in market access, funding, and visibility. Joining us today is our 5 industry think tank in digital technologies. I will let the gentlemen introduce themselves. Perhaps we can start with Sharma, CEO of Ascendo. Hi, Sharma.
Hi.
For the benefit of the audience that missed your presentation earlier, can you tell us briefly about what you do, the industry you're in, and to sprinkle in a little bit of fun, your new hobby or habit that you started since MCO?
Thank you very much, Serena. So Ascendo, so I've got the privilege to lead Ascendo. Ascendo is a HR technology company focusing on a talent intelligence platform. We are built on a very simple premise, right? That everybody has the right to get the opportunity to be the best version of themselves. So using that as the platform of everything we do, we focus on trying to give individuals and organizations smart data to be able to make decisions on demand, on their careers, on learning, and how organizations get to evolve from that process. Something that I started recently. So I've always been, I consider myself a failed sports enthusiast. So I've played football for quite a senior level. I play a lot of badminton, swimming, cycling. I think the one thing that's really been picking up since MCO is indoor cycling. So, there's a thing called Zwift, and we're all now on Zwift. So I'm happily cycling, and I think that's the only thing keeping me sane so far without the need to go out of the house.
Thanks, Sharma. That's a very athletic activities that you picked up. George, how about you from Innovative?
Hi everyone, I'm George Lee. I'm the CEO of Innovative Solution. We are an AI company that provide eKYC, or rather electronic know your customer. So basically what we do, we help company across the Southeast Asia region to basically do identity verification of their customer who they onboard.
And your habit that you've picked up since MCO?
That would be pour over coffee.
Oh.
So being stuck at home and all that, and a few colleagues start to devil me, and next thing you know, you buy a grinder, then you buy an espresso machine, then you give a bit of feedback, then they tell you, oh no, you should get the V60 kit, and you try this and it's different, and next thing you know, I have the V60 kit, and yesterday one of my friends just sent me a video of him roasting his own coffee at home. I hope I don't get there.
Very nice.
George, soon I'll start putting orders to you.
I'm not there yet, but hopefully.
Yan, how about you? Tell us, like a little bit of what you do and then like your new hobby or habit.
All right. So I'm Jan Lambrechts, the CEO of Epitome. We are a lifelong learning organization. We leverage on data and analytics to help individuals progress in their life or find the epitome of themselves. We help companies survive the fourth industrial revolution, and we help to give data-driven, insightful, policy-changing decisions to be made by the governments by leveraging on data and giving them dashboards, etc., etc. Being active in Malaysia, I actually moved to Malaysia a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, and since I lived in Malaysia, I always hang out having teh tarik with Mdec. I gained like 40 kilograms, so I'm happy to say that since MCO, I lost those 40 kilograms again because I started running again and being healthy again. And I also, I was traveling like 3 to 4 weeks a month before, so I also discovered that I have 3 kids and I got to know them as well quite well. So that was a big hobby as well.
Very nice. Okay, let's move on to hi, Mr. Robin.
Hi. My video is a bit out, I think. It's a bit slow, but I think it's a network problem. But anyhow, my name is Robin Hu. I'm the CEO of Orangefin Asia. Orangefin is an AI-powered RPA startup that we developed our own software robots in 2018. And we have been helping a number of large banks and quite a lot of SME to automate their repetitive, mundane, and laborious tasks. So currently we have about 100 plus customers that is in the whole Malaysia that's using our robots to automate. So on our side, we are trying to make the robot as human logical as possible. That means possesses some common sense in terms of where they are working and helping their counterpart. So we always refer them as about 14, 15 years old kind of person that can help you to do your work, that you can train them without any programming and stuff like that. So that's the objective that we are trying to look at. So that involve the orange vision, the ability to see, the orange AI, the ability to put some common sense into the screens and the tasks that it's doing, and then the orange bots that are working on the screen, the keystroke, and also the mouse, and also the reading of the PDF and stuff like that. So that has been keeping us busy for the past 3 years. And during MCO, actually time flies very fast. Still focusing on software development. I didn't really pick up much on the hobby side, but I did pick up my fried rice, going through Uncle Roger and all the funny fried rice that he is doing and stuff like that. So that actually helps to also lighten up the family and also get them into be able to taste some of my cooking, which I think they curse. So that's basically what I do, and then most of the time is still trying to being a startup and trying to get the team together to roll out the feature that the customer is looking at. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks. After this, maybe we can have like a cooking with Robin session. Sweet, let's move on to our last think tank.
Wow, privileged to be called a think tank. I've never been called that. Always been called a salesman. Yeah, so I'm a regional sales VP of Secure Metric. Very privileged to be part of this panel. So we pretty much focus in a very niche part of cybersecurity. We focus on public key infra, which is, the talent in public key infra is really, really hard to find, especially technically. So very privileged to join Secure Metric. Yeah, and well, I can't really say that I've picked up any habit, but I've dropped habits a lot. I dropped drinking. Yeah, so used to have a lot of outings in pubs, especially since I had to travel regionally. So that is something that have been, have kept me off the alcohol a little bit, which is my wife is really thankful for that, right? And at the same time, I think picked up the habit of drinking healthy juice, but that's not consensual habit. It's a thing forced down by my wife. So yeah, the perils of working from home. You got to stay sane somehow with the missus. Yep, thanks.
Thanks, and the benefits as well, I suppose. I myself has picked up Games of Thrones, and I'm totally obsessed right now, halfway through it. So let's circle back. Shama and Jan, both of you are in the HR business. Can you tell us how your solutions have revolutionized the hiring industry?
Who to go first?
Shama, yeah, let's go.
Sure. I'll be very humble if somebody says we've revolutionized the industry. But I think the way I look at this, right, the industry is revolutioning itself, if I can say that. Where the industry used to be. So let me go back pre-COVID. So pre-COVID, a lot of companies used to have this idea that, any problem we had, the solution was to hire from the outside. We can solve any problem, just go out and hire somebody. Suddenly COVID hit, and that just meant it wasn't possible to do that anymore. Not only because of talent shortage, just budget shortage. Right? So then organizations have to go back and look inwardly to see what can I do to be able to achieve this, and realize that because there was very little focus internally built for such a long time, there's a huge delta in the gap between where they needed to be and where they are. So the pendulum swung to the other end of the spectrum. Now everything was focused on internal development and all that kind of stuff. What we're now seeing more and more that's happening across the process is, as post-COVID comes in, people start thinking about more sustainable approach. People recognize that I no longer need to have a 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 man business. I can be leaner and be a lot meaner, and then be intelligent about how I go out and recruit people. So the whole buy, build, borrow, and bounce, right? These are the 4 Bs that a lot of people talk about. So how do you manage your talent, both contingent and full-time, to be able to work together in that process? So I think from our end, it's really about using data to be able to make smarter decisions, to be able to take away the gut feel in decisions. In every solution you see in organization, data and AI and systems play such a huge role in decision making, except for when it comes to people. No, I said earlier, I've heard comments like, I can shake your hand and tell you if you're a good candidate. I see you 2 minutes, I can tell you if you're a good candidate. I've heard all of these things, right? How do we mitigate for that? Using smart data, not just data, smart data to be able to achieve for that process. And then using that same measurement to be able to drive a learning component within the organization to be able to achieve the highest level of efficiency.
Jan, how about you?
Well, when I arrived at this part of the world, like more than a decade ago, and that's kind of when we started Epitome as well, I was trying to find a job, and I'm like the typical kind of failure of the education system, and dropped out of school and then made a company and did quite well, came to this part of the world, and I was trying to find a job, and I couldn't find a job because I didn't have a degree. And no degree. And then I was like, hey, but wait a minute, I've been 10 years a CEO and 10 years a chairman. And I have done investments and we grew over 40 countries. And I have the experience. Like, nah, but you don't have a degree, so you cannot find a job. And I was like, how is that even possible that we don't look at what I achieved instead of what I learned 10 years ago, which is totally irrelevant. So I think one of the biggest things that we help to solve and that we are quite proud of is, number one, we really try to explain to companies, don't look at a CV. A CV is like a meaningless piece of instrument that hasn't been updated for 50, 60, 70 years. How can you see on a CV that somebody is a good sales guy? You can. How can you see on a CV that somebody is a good accountant? You can. Why don't you leverage on data? So I think that was one of the biggest accomplishments that we did. The other part where we are very proud of as well, and it's a bit of a joke, don't take it too serious, but everybody here in at this part of the world either becomes a doctor or an engineer because their mom or dad wants them to become a doctor or an engineer. And what we found out through our data on our platform is that only 20% of Malaysian graduates are in alignment with their career choice. So that means that the government is expecting 100 engineers to come out of school. No, there's only 20 engineers coming out of school. All those other ones, they became an engineer because their mom wanted them to be an engineer, or they followed their best friend to school, basically. So what we have done is we have increased the career alignment from 20% to over 50% in a span of 3 years here in Malaysia. And I think that is quite a big thing. And then I think the third part that we're starting to realize is when you hire, you don't hire based on a CV or based on the qualifications or the degrees that they achieved like 10 or 20 years ago. We're now hiring, like, for example, I want a data scientist. well, you can get a graduate, but you can also find somebody that's an accountant who just lost their job because actually he had already 85% of the skill sets required to be a data scientist, and you invest a little bit of time and money in that person to upskill him. So I think those are the three realizations that we try to achieve, and we are measuring that, and it's happening slowly but surely.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So how about Mdec? So you guys have been doing digital signature, and so how has that helped the company?
Well, digital signature is not a new technology. It's just that somehow it's not really widely used in enterprises in Malaysia. So with the pandemic, I think everybody sees the necessity of it. Well, I always have this story that I like to share on how we can help, right? Or how we have helped, in fact, that company that I'm talking to has become our client. So the CTO that we were talking to, it took them about 4 days to sign one single document, and they are highly regulated, right? They're an organization that can't do without all these signatures. So during the pandemic, that was before pandemic, 4 days to sign a document because, well, this document need to be routed to 4 different locations in their branches, right? And it has to be physically signed, and because of the pandemic, it doubled that to about 8 days to a week, sometimes 2 weeks, right? So I mean, the pain of having go through that, pretty much when we introduced the digital signature platform to them, it was a no-brainer, and they pretty much signed up almost immediately. And right now, you know, the stories that they share on how the process of getting a signature has improved tremendously, yet still remaining legal, compliant to their audits and whatever, right? So we're talking about a lot of process digitization and improvements, tremendous improvements in terms of productivity, right? So right now that document, in fact, can be signed within 5 minutes, right? The creator just routes it to all 4 signers, everybody signs it, and what, within 5 minutes. Yeah. And well, sometimes, you know, the guy goes on break, you have to remind him, comes back after 20 minutes, but it's still consummated within a day at the minimum, at the max, sorry. Yeah, so that's the area that I think a lot of people need to look at, because there are, you know, technologies out there. I mean, PKI has been around for what, 20 years, since the 70s actually, right? That you can still use. It's just that you need to use it in a new way. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. I think like nobody can say no to like cutting down red tape to get anything signed faster. George, how about you? You're in the eKYC business. So how does that help to change like the financial back sector office process?
Well, yeah. So, you know, eKYC has always been around, especially in the financial sector, you know, where it's heavily regulated because, you know, you always have the risk of money laundering, yeah, and so on. So all those were, before this was very much back office processing that, you know, someone have to manually go and do some checks and so on and so forth, you know. But with those processes, you know, not only that, when you depend on the human, there's a backlog that maybe someone have to do. So first of all, the task get queued, yeah, to wait for someone to do it. The person got to look at it. Then of course you're exposed to human mistakes, and of course customer nowadays expect things to be done very fast. So when we put in eKYC, what we are helping these guys to do is that they can now have that eKYC process, yeah, to run on a 24/7 basis. So meaning that immediately something come in, it basically get checked by the AI. And for the cases that are all good, the customer can actually proceed to the next step. You know, so we're talking about how can you open a banking account in the middle of the night on a public holiday on a Sunday, you know, without any interruption at all. You know, so that's how these things have basically, you know, helped change some of these processes. But it's not just the financial, it's also, you know, many other business that with the need to basically identify customer digital identity. Yeah, and we have also witnessed this very much in the telco sector. In the property tech, you know, I want to check who's the tenant, car sharing, I want to check the guy that's actually taking my car, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so your eKYC uses AI to enable ID verification, and you mean it's cutting down processes due to human error. Does this mean that your customers who adopt your solution will cut down more jobs?
Not really. I mean, we believe in there are two HR guys here looking at me now, but yeah, but not really. We believe that, AI is our co-worker. Yeah, think of it that way. Yeah, AI help to complement and upskill your existing team. Yeah, on things that they don't have to focus on, so that they can focus on more higher value processes within the company. Because even when you look at eKYC, right, it doesn't mean that when you adopt eKYC, 100% of your thing will not need a human anymore, because our eKYC will help you to flag that this is a good case. Fine, you can go through. But when the eKYC flag that this is something suspicious, then some human need to take a look at it. Give you an example. When we say suspicious, may not mean that it's fraud. It could also mean that maybe somebody my card just happened to be in such bad condition. Maybe the guy running over with his car or whatever, that the AI can't even recognize it. Then you really need the human to look at it to do a further due diligence on that particular case. So this is how we work with human. Our AI work with human to basically complement the whole entire ecosystem. And of course, we help to accelerate. So your guys don't have to stay up middle of the night to do eKYC checking. Let the system do it. The next morning, run through and see what are the additional thing you need to do.
Thanks. Let's go with Robin this time around. Robin, can you share with us what problem Orange Workforce is trying to solve?
Oh, hi. Again, my video is up, so the video and me, the sound not the same, but it's okay. So I think we have HR people here, so very seldom you get. Most human are very creative. They like to solve problems. They like to look at things that they like to do. But if you are talking about business, about 60-80% of the time you are supposed to get something done. That something done is actually very monotonous. You have to do it repetitively, and seriously speaking, the younger generation, the millennium, whatever, they are creative people. But when you put them down to do something that is very repetitive, they get bored and they start making mistakes, and they start don't doing all this. Get very bored and they want to resign and move something else. But in terms of work, these two parts is there. Okay, you can't say that I only want your creative part, but the mundane work you don't do. So what we are trying to do is that we are trying to take away all this mundane work being done by the robot and leaving the time for the human being to do whatever they are good at. So that's basically what we are trying to focus at. So we allow the human to spend their time to look at problem solving, to come up with greater idea, to do product improvement. And then you look at the order fulfillment and things like scanning and reading DO, things like that is done. You can be actually outsourced to a robot. Things like AR, AP, payment and stuff like that. All this can be outsourced to a robot, right? Of course, you can also do things like get a highly integrated system. Then you don't need the robot to do the work. But most of the industry have what they call systems that they use, and they acquire all these systems through time. So they start with the accounting system, they have their order fulfillment system, then they have their CRM system, minimum 3 to 6 systems in a typical SME. And in a bank, there could be as long as 200 systems that are not really integrated. So you still need a person to actually monitor and get things done. So all this work actually can be done by a robot. So that's the thing that we are trying to solve. We are trying to take away all this boring work and let the human shine in terms of their creativity, problem solvings, and getting better product out onto the market. And that's where we need to make sure that we can fulfill this gig economy. All these are actually part and parcel of this new economy that we are in. So I give an example like the check clearing that we do. You put a new guy into check clearing, they will think that it's a dead job. It's a very boring job, and they will, after 6 months of doing, they want to do something else, right? So these are the things that even though it's working with the bank, the pay is good, right? But it's looking at the check and clear the check, right? So after a while, you will most probably say, Why would I want to do this? Let's move on. And then Malaysian chat usage is also going down. So it's very hard to, so you wouldn't want to build a career out of it. That's basically the problem with the youngsters. They come in, they want to build a career, right? They don't want to say that, oh, I want to do a monotonous work and whatever. So these are the things that we are trying to solve. And of course, we are not trying to replace, there is no way we can completely replace human being, because there's still business knowledge. There's still domain knowledge. Huh? So like I say, a 14, 15-year-old with no business knowledge or domain knowledge, that's where the robot is operating now. And to completely replace a human being, you still need the gut feel, you still need the domain knowledge and stuff like that. At this point, those are the place where humans shine, and these are the place that you really can't replace using a robot as of now. Huh? Yeah, that's basically what we are trying to do.
Thank you. I'll be happy if anyone can take reporting out of my hands. Yeah. So let's wrap up with one final question. Like what trends do you foresee most adopted by your industry post-pandemic? Sweetek, maybe you can take this.
Well, in our industry, well, specifically talking about cybersecurity, I think the adoption of cryptography has been increasing. Of late, the awareness of protecting the systems and access of systems have been picking up as well. And at the same time, also the part about digitizing and digitalization of processes in the company. So I think the industry in general is going to be looking at something like that. And I think, well, I mean, just not just speaking for myself, but everybody here, right? AI, robotics, and digitization probably is going to just work hand in hand. Probably in the future, you'll see a robot that can sign on your behalf or something like that, right? Yeah, that intelligently make decisions for you, maybe mundane decisions as well. So I think the acceptance has been growing. We are definitely getting a lot of traction in terms of clients, wanting to know what we do, way more than before. So I think that we're progressing in the digitization way, in the right way, I think.
Thanks. How about you, Jan? What do you think?
Well, I think we have gone on a precedent here, and work from home is going to become, I guess, work from everywhere. I think we have to trust our employees a little bit. We are not going to measure our employees anymore about the reporting, but I think responsibility, trust, accountability, productivity are going to become really important factors on how we're going to look at our workforce. But trust is going to be like one of the biggest things. And before trust, and that is where it comes, and understanding your workforce, understanding the individuals that are working for them, and that is going to be really important. And I think the next big thing is to learn, unlearn, move on, and rinse and repeat, because we now finally realize what it is to have a mismatch of skills. Hopefully it's the last pandemic, but probably it won't be the case. So I think now we know what to prepare and how to prepare for the future, and how to look into lifelong employability. So I hope now that we are going to disrupt the education systems, which hasn't been changed for like the last 80 years. I hope that parents now look into the possibility of their kids a bit more in terms of what their strengths is and what their passion is, and then nurture that and then let them find their path instead of letting them become an engineer or a doctor. So I think it looks promising with the learning that we have, but I hope that we are now better equipped for the future as well.
Yes, I hope so too. George, how about you? What do you think? What trends will be most adopted post-pandemic?
Well, I think in our area of eKYC, when you talk about customer onboarding, right, what we see moving forward is after verifying the customer, it will be very much into biometric authentications, because what you want to do is that now I have done the eKYC. What you want to do is that moving forward, every time there are transactions from this customer and so on and so forth, I want to make sure that it's you, right? But I want to cut down the eKYC steps. I'm not going to ask you to scan your IC again, and etc. But facial authentication will be the one that we will look at. Similar to like, what you have in your phone where you put your fingerprint or your face, but something more advanced, to ward off a lot of cyber attacks and, deep fake and so on and so forth. I think those will be the trend moving forward, where, more organization will then start to see how to get into this area. And of course, challenge for us is how to also make it low cost. Yeah, so that it's not something that exclusive for the big enterprises, but something where any businesses out there can easily use it.
Thanks. Robin, how about you? What trends do you foresee most adopted by your industry post-pandemic and after this?
Yeah, I think we will see two extremes. One will be going into a generic robot that can help you. So everyone will grow older in the next 20 years with a physical robot, like a robot dog that can carry you up the stairs, and the software robots that can work for you wherever you want to do. I think the robot dog is here. I think Boston Dynamics has one that you can do it. The other one is specialization in terms of workforce, in terms of software robots. That means you want a robot that can help you to do accounting and stuff like that, or you want a robot that can help you to do a specific task. Then, so it will go to extreme. One is when you get a robot, it will specifically know what to do for a certain thing. So it could be, it will go specialization in terms of logistics, in terms of accounting. So things that have been done for a long time, where you can actually part your knowledge to the robot to do it. The other one is more generic, like your day-to-day operations that help you to. So it becomes your companion. So you will have. Right, you have a physical robot, left you have a software robot, and for the next 20 to 40 years, you will see this more common. So at least for the next 5 years to the next 10 years, you will see this more common. So everybody, like I always like to say is like this, my parents start work, they were given a calculator and a 3-color pen on their pocket. And when I start work, I was given a phone, that was a Motorola phone, and a computer. And when my son start work, they will be given all this robot companion besides the notebook that is being used. So you will see them being able to do more things, and those are the trends I think will be something that I look forward to for the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah.
Thanks. I only heard there's also a robot beer that will follow you around to give you beer if you haven't seen the latest Heineken promotion. Shama,
I would
finally.
love to have that.
Shama, finally.
Robin, are you sure that's your video going out of sync, or is that a robot speaking on your behalf?
Now there's some things for you to find out.
Shama, come, tell us what is your trends that you foresee.
I think mindful of time as well. I'll just speak of two, right? So I think number one is the acceptance, and this is not new, but we're not accepting this, right? The acceptance that the power of employment has already shifted from employer to employee. And the sooner we accept this, the sooner we get to adopt the new ways of working. I think Jan earlier spoke about how to build trust within employment, how to be able to move away from the previous measurements that we used to have in employment. That is number one. Number two, I feel the acceptance of what we call the new collar workforce. We are all very familiar with white collar and blue collar, right? There's this new term called the new collar. I think Jan he explained it very nicely. So let me term it, right? So yeah, Jan is a new collar employee, right? I don't have formal education, but goddamn, I'm very good at what I do. So people like this. So for us, example, half our programming team are new collar employees, right? They are all self-taught, self-learned. And to some extent, I think they're better than those that come out from formal institutions. Sorry. So, because the guys that do it themselves have passion. They do it not because of necessity. They do it because they want to do it. So I think you combine these two movements, you're able to get a more agile, a more resilient organization. And the more resilient organization is one that will survive the next pandemic and will foresee the next pandemic.
Thank you. So that's all from us. Thank you, gentlemen, for spending time with us this morning, sharing your views. I hope the audience are able to gather valuable insights from this panel. With that, we have come to the end of session. Do not let us come between you and lunch and lucky draw.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
That brings us to the conclusion of this program. Allow me to do the closing. Just before lunch, I'm keeping you from your lunch, but I think we have gone through 4 parts of the series. We started in May, as I mentioned, the cybersecurity and the technology leadership, followed by the GBS session. And today we have the special session with Mdec, where you heard from Huawei, you heard from Mdec what they're doing, and the 5 companies in terms of the innovative solution and how you can maximize in terms of how technology can benefit your organization. We hope you found this useful. I certainly did. But this would not have been possible without the support of all of you all here today. So we'd like to thank our sponsors, our partners for coming on board, certainly the participants, the speakers who are panelists, who are moderators, who gave keynote presentation. We would like to thank you very much. We also like to thank the team that brought this event together, who reached out to the sponsors to make this event possible, to reach out to the speakers to ensure that the content is there. So I'd like to thank the team led by Grace in making these events possible. So with that, before we end, I'd just like to remind you the second half of the year, we plan to bring back a number of events as well in Pikom. If God willing, I think the situation improves, we were looking at physical in-person events where the Pikom Digital Summit and the Future Cybersecurity Summit will happen towards the last 2 months of the year. So stay tuned and continue to be with us, and we hope to hear from you very, very soon. So with that, I'm signing off. Goodbye, everybody.